It is 10:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. In NFL news, the former Giants defensive end Azeez Ojulari has signed with the Philadelphia Eagles on a one-year deal worth $4 million. That is another free agent pass rusher off the board. The Buffalo Bills removed a year from linebacker Matt Milano's contract. That makes him a free agent after the upcoming season. He agreed to a $3 million plus pay cut for 2025 as well, according to Jordan Schultz. And the Minnesota Vikings and cornerback Jeff Okudah have reached an agreement on a one-year deal. The 26-year-old is on his fourth NFL team after being the number 3 overall pick in 2020 to the Detroit Lions. The NCAA tournament begins tonight with the first 4. St. Francis, PA takes on Alabama State. That's at 5:40. The winner will be the 16 seed to take on top-seeded Auburn in the round of 64. And tipping off tonight at 8:10, North Carolina and San Diego State face off in Dayton. The winner will be the 11 seed to play Ole Miss. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
We got Ron Slay to talk about the brackets here in just a little bit. Nate Tice is going to be on because he wrote a very thorough piece about your future quarterback, one would imagine, Cam Ward for Yahoo. Looking forward to that today. You got me, Bert, and Lucas with you until 1 o'clock, 615-737-1045. Get in there if you have comments, questions, concerns. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Speaking of concerning, the F&M Bank chat, always open for business if you would like to live stream the show today. How often do you see a team rework a contract to just outright remove a year from a player's deal? That is something that happened this morning. Reported first by Jason at Over the Cap. He's the person who runs that website. If you're not familiar with Over the Cap, I would imagine that most people are by now, but it's a salary cap and contract-based website for pro sports, not just the NFL, though the NFL is probably their most popular function, similar to SpotTrack. And Jason, who has access to these contracts, reported that the Bills reworked Matt Milano's contract, the linebacker, freeing up roughly $6 million in cap space as a part of the restructure. Milano will now only have 1 year remaining on his deal and will be an unrestricted free agent after this season. Bert, you said that the Ravens did this with Ronnie Stanley last year?
A similar thing with Ronnie last year. So I would have to see the breakdown on Milano's contract. But the Ravens took a contract year away and added a void year. That was why Ronnie hit free agency this year. And that was to knock his cap number down and also to kind of give him an incentive like, hey, you're going to hit free agency. Are you going to be able to play 17 games? You're going to be able to stay healthy throughout the whole season. It was kind of like an escalator. Like, okay, if you play really well this year, you could get paid again in free agency. But I have to see if the Milano structure is the same. They have not noted if it was a void year added or if they simply removed it and moved all his guaranteed money up.
This is something that Jordan Schultz at Fox Sports was able to add some context to. This was a strategic agreement for both sides. Injuries have limited Matt Milano to 9 games over the last 2 years, so he agreed to take less with the chance to earn it back while also getting a chance to rebound and hit free agency a year early. That's kind of a Russian roulette type of situation if you're a player who's dealt with significant unavailability in the last couple of seasons. Hey, bud, we'll get you a chance to cash in again earlier, but you got to take a chance on yourself because we've taken a chance on you and your body just hasn't held up based on the terms that we agreed upon or the expectation that we had for you. So we'll take a year off your contract, which will allow you to get back into the free agent mix earlier. But if you're a player who's dealt with availability issues, you're weighing the job security of what your current contract is versus will I actually be able to cash in free agency again?
Is this something the Titans could have tried with Harold Landry?
Yeah, but Harold's been available. And it didn't matter for Harold because he got paid again. Like, he hit the market. He was an unrestricted free agent. He got out there, and Mike Vrabel gave him $26 million guaranteed. So he's not quite in the situation that Matt Milano is. What's Harold's biggest issue is he's just not been a good enough player. Matt Milano's a good enough player. He's a very effective linebacker. He just doesn't play.
30 years old, will be 31 this coming season. And, yeah, he missed 14 games last year. He missed the entirety, he missed 13 games last year and only played in 5 in 2023. So he's played in 9 games in the last 2 years combined, regular season games.
And Milano already had a void year in 2027. So I wonder if they bunch that void year up into 2026 because the out was after this year anyway. They could have cut him after this year and saved around $9 million.
I just heard every cigarette you smoked this morning in your voice.
What's wrong with your voice then?
What's your excuse?
I sound great. Is there a player for the Titans that something like this would make sense for? Because the immediate one that comes to my mind is Treylon Burks, but I bet you can't do this with a rookie contract. You can't take a year away from a player who's still on their rookie deal and hold the carrot of, well, you'll get to free agency earlier, bud, but we want to see you basically earn the right to still have a contract or a spot on our football team. It's like when the Titans, John Robinson did that situation with Adoree Jackson where they picked up his 5th-year option and they decided, nah, we're good, and cut him afterwards the same year that they picked up the 5th-year option. The league then changed the rule after the fact to where you could not pick up a player's 5th-year option, change your mind, decline it, and release the player.
Adoree Jackson, who is now a Philadelphia Eagle, by the way.
Good for him. Good for Adoree, man. He's had it's maybe not been the best first-round corner career, but, I mean, you said this morning that Jeff Okudah signed with another team, and it's certainly been better than Jeff Okudah. Certainly been better than Corey Davis, who he was also drafted in the same first round with back in 2017.
1-year deal for Jeff Okudah in Minnesota. It is his 4th team since being the number 3 pick in the 2020 draft to Detroit.
Now, and this is kind of off the beaten path, but a player they could do this with would be Lloyd Cushenberry. He does have 26 and 27 still under contract with the Titans, but his guaranteed salary is 0 for both of those years. So they could come to him and say, hey, you have no guaranteed salary after the 2025 season. Would you like to lower this contract, have a chance to tune in again? And if you're healthy this year, you would have a chance to max out and get another big payout, get another couple years of guaranteed money. Now, would he want to do that the year following an Achilles tear? Maybe not, but that would be a player on the Titans roster that I could see them
in the future
trying to do something like that.
Yeah,
with.
And he's young enough. It's only 27 to still get another payday.
It's why I struggle with like questions at this time of year. Well, how much salary cap space do the Titans have left? There's so many different, would you call them loopholes in capology, salary capology that teams have at their disposal?
It's very manipulative.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have, it's just like cooking your books to an extent. If you work in accounting, you can make numbers, do a lot of different things without having to be so rigid about them. And the NFL has that kind of wiggle room for clubs who get into bad situations in the NFL. It's why I don't think we'll ever see, I mean, the Deshaun Watson contract is an anomaly and a bad decision for a great many reasons beyond just the money. We know why the Deshaun Watson deal is viewed the way that it is. Also, the player just didn't perform. But it's why I think there will never be another significant NFL deal. I know Jordan Mason just got a fully guaranteed contract, the running back that was traded from the Niners.
Derek Stingley almost did if you get rid of those snakes.
Yeah, does $89 million out of a $90 million deal count?
We still don't have an explanation for that, do we? I haven't seen any reporting on that at all. Why on earth?
Can we just go ahead and call that fully guaranteed? I mean, come on. It's ridiculous.
Very odd. But few and far between will be the contracts that even look like Derek Stingley's, for example, because players just get hurt too much in the NFL. Like the bodies, you churn through these players at a far greater rate than baseball does or basketball does. You don't want to give owners or clubs more advantages over labor than they already have, because we understand that this is a very management-skewed sport. All sports are. And we all work for somebody, right? But in the NFL, it felt like we were at least getting to a point after the Kirk Cousins deal with Lamar negotiating and trying to get a fully guaranteed contract after Deshaun got his, and a couple of different players who were looking at examples of this, trying to make it work. I just don't know if ownership will ever go for the idea of fully guaranteed contracts on a regular basis in the NFL, or if there will always be some level of, it kind of feels like monopoly money with the salary cap stuff. People who question whether the salary cap is real or not, or whether you have to adhere strictly to the salary cap. I just don't think NFL owners would ever be willing to give away that leverage. What's the benefit to them?
The only reason I can think of as to why make Derek Stingley Jr.'s contract $89 million in guaranteed money out of $90 million total.
So weird.
Is just the optics of it. I truly can't think of anything else that you just don't want it out there.
What are the optics of it?
That you just don't want to be a team that handed out a fully guaranteed contract for all the reasons of what you just said.
So you just say, nah, you know what, that last mil, bud.
Got to earn it.
We can't do it. We got to have some level of incentive in this contract for you. So I don't know if people care. People do get into the salary cap stuff. People do enjoy, I think, the armchair GM component of it, because fans and media on the outside of these things have never had more access or more information to kind of fill in. All right, how are teams actually put together? But I don't know. I just can't imagine a world in which we in the NFL at some point go to, on a regular basis, fully guaranteed contracts. There's so much variance, so much more variance. You're dealing with so many more players at the NFL level as well, as opposed to Major League Baseball or professional basketball. It just, unfortunately for the players, I'm sure that, there will be negotiation sticking points, or as they renegotiate the deal between the NFL and the players union and things like that over time, those things will try to be strived for, and they should be strived for, but it's never going to be feasible to me.
Okay, so PFF did a pod on this yesterday, and this is the best explanation that I've seen for why he got $1 million less in guarantees. So this is still confusing, but small note on the Stingley extension. He's getting $90 million in new money, but not $89 million in new guarantees, because there are still 2 years left on his rookie contract. Appreciate the reporting is confusing, but that $89 million includes money he's already guaranteed as part of his rookie deal. The new guarantees are closer to $66 million. So he would be able to be cut in the third year of that contract, and they would still have cap savings because that final year is not guaranteed. So part of those guarantees that they put out, I'm assuming this is part of an agent's doing, were to say, hey, look how much guaranteed money he got, but it included portions of guaranteed money from his rookie deal, if that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense, because I think a lot of times we forget that, extensions are just that. They are extensions upon a current deal, as opposed to new contracts with which players get a lot in free agency. So you have to suss your way through that. There's a comment here. D. Christophel on YouTube says, Cushenberry scares me. I hope he doesn't start to have injuries like Lawan did. Taylor's situation was so specific. They botched his ACL repair. They screwed up the graft in his knee. It caused regular swelling of the knee where it would fill with fluid, essentially, if he cut or planted incorrectly. And again, I'm not a medical expert, but there's an ongoing lawsuit. I don't think there's still been a resolution to Taylor suing, what's the name of the famous ACL repair guy?
Is it Dr. Andrews?
Dr. Andrews. Dr. Andrews, because Taylor...
I believe he's retired.
Well, yeah, but he's got the Andrews Institute down somewhere in sunny, scenic Florida, where for a while he was the expert, the go-to guy, essentially somebody who helped invent the ACL repair surgery. But there's been a couple of players over the course of the past couple of years who have gotten into litigation about repairs to ACLs that were done incorrectly, where it has become basically a routine procedure at this point in time. We'll pivot to some basketball, given that we will get underway with the first four. Ron Slay will join us coming up next. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is here to help you if you're somebody who's dealt with ED, and we know how frustrating that can be. The Tennessee Men's Clinic can help you work through those frustrations and help you clear up any misconceptions that you might have about getting ED treatment. They've done this for guys for over a decade plus here in Middle Tennessee at their 2 locations in Franklin or in Midtown. And they specialize in men's sexual health issues. It's all they do. It makes them the experts in the field. And they have access to multiple protocols and options to treat ED based on your specific needs and what's going on in your body. So don't trust your health to an online pharmacy and don't feel like you're out of options. Call the Tennessee Men's Clinic today because their protocols are patient-centered and customized to your needs. They have treatments for everything from low testosterone, ED, treatments that increase size, stamina, and everything else in between. The number 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090 or visit them online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
TV's Ron Slay is in the building. He's been on television basically, I don't know, for a week straight. And he's hanging out here in studio with us. 3HL is going to be out at Kings Bowl this afternoon for the first four. You can go hang out with the crew and get things started. Games tip off what, about 5:30, 6 o'clock?
Yep.
Later this evening?
My bet has been laid.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too, Buckaroo.
I'm glad that you survived your television marathon. You were excellent, the entire crew. It was a great time. I love that ESPN kept their bracket release show with Game Day here.
That was cool.
And did it on the Plaza at Bridgestone. I didn't realize that was happening until I started getting emails from ESPN about that going down. So cool to see Nashville get to be a part of the bracket release show. This bracket, though, was a mess.
It's a lot going on.
It's a mess.
This bracket. It is a lot going on. Shout out to the committee for trying to put it together, man. But at some point, somebody's going to get snubbed. I just think when it's blatant, that's the part that kind of irritates people. But one thing about it, you just got to make it to Thursday, and all will be forgotten.
Yeah.
Like, nobody will be thinking about West Virginia as soon as Thursday hits and the game start to be played. So, and also when you look at North Carolina going in, like, they need to win today. And I don't think it ain't an easy feat. So it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out, man. But I think the seed and everything was cool. I liked it.
Anytime you do something like this in real time and then you put it out for the entire world to criticize or for people to nitpick, like, you're going to go back and look. Because, you get some feedback that you'll kind of shrug your shoulders and be like, all right, it's not that deep. You don't know what you're talking about or something like this. But every once in a while, somebody make a point and you're like, yeah, I screwed that up. But it's too late now. That's how I feel about the bracket and the tournament committee. And this year it was tough with the optics and Bubba Cunningham, the North Carolina athletic director, and UNC getting in. And
a miscarriage of justice, according to John Rothstein.
I love John Rothstein so much. A miscarriage of justice. Bless that man.
That was as political as you could get right there. Like, what? Like, why, my man? I don't understand. What he's going to do is definitely make sure he's the governor again. Like, ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
He is
People
out here.
Gonna ride with him.
He is out here for the integrity of. No, I'm talking about John Rothstein,
the
college
CBS
basketball player.
CBS analyst.
Slay is talking about the governor of North Carolina.
No,
West Virginia.
The governor of West Virginia. We'll get to that. We'll get to that with Oh No coming up in the next segment.
Excellent. I'm excited about that.
That was wild right there.
Unbelievable. So let's start with.
This
North
is what the
Carolina.
bracket does. Look at it. We all took 3 different approaches.
It's delightful,
and all of them was right.
It's tough to be wrong at this time of year with all the different things going around. Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed the way that Robert is preying on North Carolina's downfall at every turn, just because they snubbed him from a party one time in college. That is a theme that continues. Oh, my God, why is Ross running the board back there?
Burt changed.
Well, yeah,
he
Burt
has
got on the
recused
Ozempic.
himself.
Burt got on the Ozempic back there. And
Ross
now
wearing his Duke T-shirt.
Transformed himself.
Ooh, a dookie.
So
I think we know where Burt is right now.
Oh,
bathroom.
He's been eating cabbage all morning.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
What 9 a.m. cabbage? Either way, we don't have to get into that.
It's good for you.
Speaking of toilet talk, North Carolina, they're not a good basketball team, Slay. You mentioned that they have to win today. What is it that you think that they are capable of doing to at least get into the final 64 here?
I'm honestly not sure. I think, one, you got to, if I had to take a stab at it, you got to shoot the lights out. San Diego State is solid defensively, but R.J. Davis just need to go crazy. I think that'll solidify some things for him. Honestly, I haven't even paid attention to North Carolina because I was like, you know what, they ain't going to get in.
There's no reason to. You're like the rest of the country.
This is what I'm saying. So to force feed us North Carolina needs to get this victory. How they going to get it, I don't know. And I think it's a little bit more than just the public perception on the line. I think this Hubert Davis's job is on the line. So you could save a person's job, if you were to get a victory. So we're gonna see how it shakes out. But I'm not at all concerned of what North Carolina does. And I got a love-hate relationship with them anyway because they put us out of Sweet 16. So.
What is a fair criticism of Hubert Davis? Because that seems to be the place that most North Carolina fans are sitting right now, trying, because it's not like he hasn't had tournament success, but the ebbs and flows of the Hubert Davis experience, the peaks and valleys are so great that I understand how North Carolina fans are feeling, even though he is somebody who has at least helped them get to the tournament and advance in the tournament.
Yeah, and when you look at it, I think the biggest thing they could do is hire a general manager instead of standing on where North Carolina we're going to be able to get the recruits, we're going to be able to retain talent. I think they ran the course of Baycott a little too long, and it's no fault to them. It's just that's where NIL is. That's where the portal is. If this guy's right here, why would I come there knowing he's going to be back again? He's eating up a lot of NIL. He's going to eat up a lot of minutes. He's going to eat up a lot of touches. So if I'm a big man, why am I going to North Carolina? Their tradition is based on them running in transition, having a guard that can get busy, and then having a big that can go down low, and you're going to get touches. So you can't recruit anybody like that. So you have to get up with the ages. So hopefully them getting the GM helps Hubert Davis out. They give him another year, and I think he would be fine because the man can't coach. I'll give him credit. He can coach. I think it's the retaining the talent when everybody else around the nation, almost kind of similar to what Cal had going on. Like, how are you going to get the guys in? Are you going young? Are you going old? Are you hitting the portal? I think they were kind of in the middle of too much and not picking a direction and taking it. So hopefully they take a direction now.
I don't need to tell you that Ron Slay's in studio. You know that voice.
I'm in the building.
6 on 3HL. They won't be in the building today, however. They'll be at Kings Bowl in Franklin. How many different laughs
Yeah, that was my guy.
do you have back there?
Yeah.
That was very sultry. That was sensual.
So, yeah, some of them get sexy.
Slay, what percentage chance? What percentage chance do you place on Buck showing up to Kings Bowl to support his teammates tonight?
That percentage may be low because of the distance and the time.
It's outside the perimeter.
Yeah, it's way.
Franklin is outside the perimeter.
Yeah.
Now, but what percentage chance you show up to the install event to support him later this year?
That's about 99.8%. Yeah,
It's quite the disparity there.
But we know this about one another, and we accept and love each other.
You can tell yourself that. That's okay.
We understand and accept it.
See, you're asking the man himself. He is going to be there to support me, even though he knows that it will be like pulling teeth.
For Buck to come support an event like this, it needs to be after 7-ish, between 7 and 9 at night. I think we can get them in there. But the time frame right now, too much can happen between 3 and 6. Like Buck got a lot of things on his plate, man.
No, he doesn't. That's just something he tells people.
Slay gets it.
Come on out to Kings Bowl. Come on out to Kings Bowl. It'll be a good
somebody
time.
who is also has a very full schedule on a daily basis. Slay understands.
Thought North Carolina was bounced out of the tournament when the lane violation lost them the game against Duke in the ACC tournament.
Wow.
Obviously, they survived that. But Duke now comes into this tournament with questions around Cooper Flagg. Where are you on the Duke Cooper Flagg situation, as it sounds like he's going to play? They're still awaiting their opponent out of the first 4 in the East region. But you've dealt with ankle injuries like that before. It doesn't seem like it's necessarily a high ankle sprain. Sounds like they're going to do everything in their power to get him out there. But what do you think about this Duke team if he is not at 100%?
If he's not at 100%, this is not an Elite 8 Final Four team to go contend for a championship, because you have to have that superstar effect. When you look around and you talk about everybody that's contending for a national championship, you probably have a guy vying for first team All-American that's on those teams. If not first team, at least second team. You look at Houston, that's a collective group where you got L.J. Cryer, who's leading that bunch, and Dogs and Kevin Sampson. You look at Auburn, Janai Broome, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You look at Florida, Walter Clayton Jr., the way he's playing, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Tennessee, look at Zakai Ziegler, the way he's playing, one of the best point guards in the nation. I'd be shocked if he wasn't second team minimum, All-American. Bama, the same thing. So with Bama and Duke, it's funny they're in the same bracket. I think the same lies with him and Grant Nelson. Grant Nelson with the knee, Cooper Flagg with the ankle. They both affect and impact their team greatly. Like, they are not the same. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yes, because of the way they play, the talent that they have, they can advance at least to the Sweet 16. Then it's a coin toss, depending on how it goes if the team gets hot. But Duke, in the second round, if they play Mississippi State and there's no Cooper Flagg, just a guy you can give the ball and say, go get a bucket against a 6'7", 6'8" athletic freak, as far as a Cam Matthews or Keyshawn Murphy or one of these guys that's built just differently, Duke could be in trouble in the second round without a Cooper Flag. You got, when things break down in tournaments, you got to be able to have a guy you can give the ball and say, go get me a bucket. And that's either a point guard or a wing. It's different for a big because somebody has to feed them. Point guard, we can go get the ball himself, take it off the rim and go get it. Everybody get out the way. So it's big.
But I think that's the correct analysis, because I think people watched Duke without Cooper Flag and said, "Oh, I mean, look at the way that they just handled things pretty comfortably, especially in the ACC championship game." In Louisville, not a bad team, not the most consistent team. If without Chucky Hepburn, they'd look a lot more mortal. But I'm glad to see Duke handled that stretch without Cooper Flag the way that they did. But also, to your point, like, you've just got to have your go-to guy, especially at this time of year when maybe the playing field is not outright level, but it's as close as it's going to be on neutral court environments and things like that. And I think for Duke, that is the thing that makes me the most curious about who is able to lean on their star talent the most throughout the course of this. Because I'm looking at Florida, and even if Florida was to lose a player or two throughout the course of it, they've got 3 or 4 other guys that you can lean on right away that will continue to kind of carry that mantle. For Duke, it's not quite as flush across the roster where you can get into 6th and 7th and 8th off the bench and still feel confident about your team holding serve.
Right, but it's that impact. Now, I will say, man, it's in particular of who you lose. Like if it's Florida, particularly Walter Clayton Jr., if you lose him, like, you got guys like Elijah Martin, Aberdeen coming off the bench that can step up. It's not going to be as impactful as Walter Clayton Jr. because that's a different guy. But like you're saying, they'll be able to, everybody come together and, we can move forward. That's different. That's different for Duke, man. This Cooper Flag kid, man, potentially is phenomenal. You know what I mean? And talent is through the roof. And number 1 pick, I would say without question, you take that out, that's a different dynamic. You know what I mean? Because when you have a superstar that you walk in with, not only the way he plays, but the confidence that he gives you is, we got something that you don't got. So when it comes down to it, and it's a 2-point game, yeah, you nervous and you drawing up different things because we've got him. If we don't have him, we're okay coming out and saying, we're gonna man up. One of y'all got to beat us. Proctor, can you beat us? Like, who can beat us? Nobody's scared. Cooper Flag brings that scare factor.
Tennessee's path is fascinating, regardless of how it shakes out. Because let's say it's chalk on the opposite matchup and you get UCLA in the second round. Yeah. Obviously, you got to take care of your own business, survive in advance. But if Tennessee gets matched up with UCLA, you're playing the team that tried to swipe away Rick Barnes. Yeah. I'd argue Philip Fulmer's greatest contribution as an athletic director is keeping Rick Barnes on campus at Tennessee. If you can get past UCLA, you could very well, you're likely matched up with either Kentucky, who you've already lost to twice, or Illinois, who you saw in the non-conference slate and beat on a coast-to-coast buzzer beater by Jordan Gainey. And then the even slight potential of meeting Purdue again in the Elite Eight. I know this isn't the same Purdue team. Yeah. So it's a very interesting path forward. But to you, when you look at Tennessee's side of the bracket in totality, what's the worst matchup? What's the game that if Tennessee is going to go all the way to the regional final, you would most want them to avoid?
That's a tough one, man, because this is the bracket I wanted. Like I wanted them to be in. I wanted them to be in the Houston bracket or Duke bracket because it could be a rock fight with Houston, and I thought the experience with Duke on the big stage when they play big teams on neutral sites isn't the same Duke that you grow accustomed to with playing in Cameron indoor. When you look at them playing Kansas, Kentucky, Clemson on the road, so forth and so on. But Houston is different. I would say, man, I honestly don't have Illinois advancing. I think if Texas is to get out of this first 4, I think Texas is a team that you would have to watch out for because of the styles, because of them knowing each other, the effect of having that go-to guy. You got 2 of them in Tremont Mark and Trey Johnson. But Illinois is good. I just don't think Illinois is the same when you get them on a neutral site. You got to remember that game was at home. That crowd early in the season was, man, that might have been one of the best atmospheres in the country that day. Leading up to when you got to see Alabama and Auburn play against each other, you know what I mean, Duke and North Carolina. But that right there, that was different, man. And they fed off of that crowd. Like they played different. I wonder how that would go in an NCAA neutral site when Zakai's not in foul trouble. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to weigh that a little bit. So I'm not that scared of Illinois. The team that would scare me a little bit, it wouldn't be Kentucky because I don't think Kentucky is. I think Kentucky's banged up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think
they can't survive this way for much longer.
It's one more hit to that Lamar Butler shoulder, and it's like, y'all. I mean, what are we gonna do?
You'd almost love another crack at Kentucky, right?
Yeah, and I'm not. That's why I'm not fearful. On a neutral site, I'm like with all the anger built up, like y'all just gonna keep on punking us. Give me that. Give me that with Zakai's last ride. Give me that. I'll take that all day long. But Texas is a little different. With Kendall Weaver being back, he's an electric energy guy. Purdue would be one just because Purdue has that aura of, man, we always get y'all. You know what I mean? Regardless,
they really do. And I hate that for you because I feel that pain in my soul.
The most random, it just happens. It just always happens.
They play to a different level. You know what I mean? And they
but
make
this
shots.
Purdue team is not capable of that. They shouldn't be.
They not. I didn't think Carson Edwards and them were. You know what I'm saying? But it came down to it, and they had a guy that hit 18 points in that game on the wing. I forgot his name, but
Ryan something. Oh, my God.
I mean, like coming off the bench, just torching him like, where did you come from, dude? You know what I'm saying? And then last year, Smith and, what is it, Lawyer, whatever his name is, the other guy that's on the wing this year, he shoots the lights out. And guys are in his face. Zach Edey was a problem.
Ryan Klein
was the guy that came. Like, nobody knows him.
What's he doing now? He's selling insurance somewhere.
Nobody knows, but he was killing Tennessee. So they always fight. That would be the only one, them standing over you. It's like when you sleep and you got that little paralyzing feeling when you sleep and you can open your eyes, but you can't breathe, you can't move.
The hell kind of sleep are you?
Y'all never had that before?
What?
Like when you wake up and you like, dude, move.
Sleep paralysis.
That's it.
Yeah.
Sleep
What?
paralysis. You never had that before?
Not in my life.
You're
It's the
going to have it
worst.
now. It's the worst thing ever in life.
Why would you ever wish that on somebody?
No, I'm not wishing it on. I'm just telling
because
you.
I said I wasn't going to Kings Bowl later.
This is part of it. And maybe you have something to influence that. This is what I'm telling you. Now, when you have this is like somebody standing over you. It's the boogeyman, but you can't move. That's how Purdue feels.
Oh, my God.
Like, they're standing over you like, what you going to do? And Tennessee just right there, got to go back to sleep and then wake up later like, okay, it was all a dream. But that's Purdue, man. I'm telling you, dog.
Auburn's finish to the regular season and then the conference tournament.
Yep.
How concerned are you?
None.
Okay.
None. Reason being, at some point after you wrap up what you did, the regular season championship, the goal for this group coming back was for them to go avenge what they did wrong. And that was getting bounced by Yale in the first round of the tournament. Yeah. The reason Bruce Pearl didn't go out and recruit another four-man to have a rotation kind of like Florida did was to put the responsibility on Janai Broome, Cardwell, and Chaney Johnson. We're giving y'all the minutes. Y'all control all that. We got a guy coming off the bench. We got a guy from, I think it was from SMU. Just a workman, you know what I mean? But he ain't going to play much. It's y'all that's got to carry this. We got Tahad Pettiford. One good rookie. One good freshman. And then put him with Denver Jones, Miles Kelly, Chad Baker. You brought your nucleus back for this reason.
Yeah.
To get to the NCAA tournament and show everybody you ran through the season, you wrapped up the regular season. It's okay to exhale and be like, all right, but now this is what you've been playing for.
Lock in.
Now it's on. And do I think they can do it? Absolutely. No question. They'll go out there and get busy. I got plenty of faith in them. Man, somebody going to have a tough time. Like, this is the way I feel they can go through it. Them in Florida, through their bracket. The same way we felt about UConn 2 years ago, that's how I feel about Auburn and Florida.
But to potentially get an underseeded Louisville team in Lexington.
Yeah, that's tough.
Watch what they do with them. This is what I'm telling you what's going to happen. And I'm telling all the Tennessee fans and Auburn fans this. That is a home game for Auburn and Tennessee. Both fan bases will be in the arena. If you're not, it's plenty of orange and plenty of blue in there. If you're not cheering for either team to get Louisville out of there, you're a fool. You're a fool.
You're a fool if you don't go to King's in Franklin. King's Dining and Entertainment.
Buck, that's making
in
you a
Franklin.
fool.
That's all right. At Tuesday, we knew that. Tuesday, March the 18th, starting at 3 p.m. for the Ultimate Basketball Watch Party, featuring a live broadcast from 3HL. If Ramon goes, I'll go. He's back there.
That's tough.
What do you think?
Ramon, are you going to?
What do you think, Ramon?
Are you going to the?
See, he lives 40 more minutes from
What are you doing?
Buck.
What are you lurking back there, by the way?
What'd he say? what was that?
I said, why are you lurking back there, one? And two, if you go to King's Bowl today, I'll go.
If I go to Kings, no, y'all already got free stuff, man, for the rest of this week, Thursday and Friday. You want me? What time is the Kings Bowl thing?
It starts at 3.
You don't even know, Buck. Stop lying, man.
I'm reading the paper. I'm reading the paper Slay gave me to read.
I saw Kings Bowl. I know what that is, man. Listen, I got baseball today, too, so see, I always got something going on. We got baseball at 4:30.
Buck has no baseball. His cats do not play baseball.
Buck ain't
You
got
don't know
no
that.
kids. You don't know that.
Yeah, you don't know that?
Let me find out if you in a
These are-
softball league. I'll
these
do a
are-
softball league with y'all.
Oh, we should do a softball league. That'd be
should.
fun as hell. A
I'd be
kickball
into
league.
Yeah.
Something.
I don't
Listen,
want to do bowling. I want to see somebody run. If you run with your hands out wide, and I can't wait to joke you.
by percentage chance, Zach Lyon's the most likely to run with his hands out wide. There's no.
Zach Lyons scoots. He don't run. He's more of a scooter.
If Zach run like that, who's got the worst swing? I'm going to go Mayor.
Oh, you think?
But Mayor was a little bit. It's maybe his feet. He pigeon-toed.
Is he really?
What?
That's
You
right.
ever seen him walk?
That's
They pointed at each
right.
other. Yeah.
Yeah, but I bet it works for him, though, in a weird
That was
way.
and then he think he cold at baseball, too.
He think he cold at it?
Yeah. You know he grew up playing. Yeah, you got to check him out now.
I'm going to check Mayor
He'll
out.
sit in here. He'll sit in here and throw a baseball to nobody.
We
He a lefty?
Like,
just throw it at the glass.
I asked him yesterday, who are you throwing the ball at? He was like, nobody. Just like in
It's
practice.
like a phantom golf swing. He's just working on his swing, you know? You got guys like that.
He's also got a dad-led team, too, in travel ball.
Oh,
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
sure. All right, so it's going to be Team 104.5 against the North Nashville Alley Cats softball team because you know these things. These are half raccoon. They play baseball. You don't know.
Absolutely. I'm with that.
Out there in Elizabeth Park, you don't know nothing.
I just found out about the bowling thing today. Y'all got to keep me in the loop, man.
Hey, man, Savage, I might have just found out.
That is in. We locked in. Say less.
You know why? We're busy.
We're busy,
We
man.
got
People
things
working
going on.
out here, man.
Lucas, with all this free time, he thinks the rest
By
of
the
the world.
way, I told them the other day, I'm telling you too, Buck, why y'all talking about Lucas need custom-made pants? Man, y'all leave that tush alone, man.
What's
Let
wrong
that
with his pants?
Yeah.
Stand up. Stand up right now. Show them.
Oh.
I said my boy thick out here. Too cute.
So
Did you just fall trying to? All right, Lucas for sure runs with his arms out.
Chair.
You know what that's called? You know what that's called? That's a back of butt.
Yeah.
You know what a back of butt?
Yeah.
The linebackers, how they sit in the stands
you
before
want him to be
attacking.
thick with it.
That's
I'm done.
You want him to be.
I'm done with
I'm
you.
good with it, Mom.
Except he's not.
Oh, man.
It's my best feature.
No, you are a great human being. You hear me?
Oh, thanks, Mo. That's why I'm going to be at King's Bowl later.
back of butt.
It is back of butt.
All of you get out of here. I got a radio show to do. King's Bowl today at 3. What in sports made you say, oh, no? Well, let's test this
fell out the
theory.
chair, though.
Is there anything in the nebulous prize bucket, or am I going to go scorched earth again today?
There is something in the prize buckets. 2 tickets to go see Zach Brown at the Pinnacle, April 1st.
There you go. Zach Brown at the Pinnacle. If you want those tickets, 615-737-1045. You just need to call in and tell us what made you say, oh, no.
Friends, if you're new to Nashville or you've been here a long time, odds are you've got a clean-out project that the missus would love to see done by the spring. Well, that's right around the corner. It's basically here. And the most reliable folks I know that can help you are my friends at J&J Services. For over 20 years, J&J Services have been providing dumpsters for local businesses, construction sites, home cleanouts, and demolitions. They provide commercial dumpster service for your favorite restaurants and convenience stores. They'll bring roll-off dumpster service for everyone from 60-story high-rises to your neighbor's farm. J&J Services can also offer trash compactors, making those large loads just a little bit smaller. They can even supply you with porta potties if you're having a special event. For the safest, most reliable service you can get in Middle Tennessee, call them for a free quote today at 615-599-7778. JandJServices.com, where they always keep it trashy.
Welcome back to the show. It is time for the thing that made you say, oh no. It's made possible by a Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. You can win a $100 gift card to a Moment's Peace and also 2 tickets to see Zach Brown at the newest venue here in Nashville, The Pinnacle, which I hear is really, really cool. I haven't got to see a show there yet. But if you want those tickets, this is the chicken fried Zach Brown, right?
That's right.
What happened to the band? He's just doing a solo act now?
I don't know.
He had a falling out? All right. Either way, if you want to go to the concert, 615-737-1045, the number, if you want to get involved. Mine is the Titans on social media. It made me laugh to see the Tennessee Titans Twitter account responding to the Tennessee basketball account after they beat Auburn to advance to the SEC Tournament Conference Championship game. All they tweeted was, "To the ship." Very innocuous, very supportive. Just, trying to lend their support to another, not necessarily local team, but an in-state team. That's fine. Nothing wrong with it. Why do Vols fans hate the Titans so much? Because the responses to this are toxic. We don't know you, little bro, is one of the comments. Says, you can't sit with us. We don't F with you. Like, it's just Vols fans teeing off in the Titans account for just tweeting a message of support for the Tennessee Vols basketball team. And I don't know if there's another professional team that has such a toxic relationship with the primary collegiate in-state fan base like Vols fans and the Tennessee Titans. It's so weird to me, but it is so funny to me. They hate them.
Yeah, it is weird because of, there's a pretty big population of people that grew up Titans and Vols fans,
right?
Myself included. So, yes, they descended upon that tweet.
Oh, no.
Mine is West Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey. We all agree North Carolina should not have made the NCAA tournament, that West Virginia had a better resume. We all agree. But Patrick Morrisey holding a press conference, standing at a podium with a sign at the front of the podium that read National Corrupt Athletic Association, made a formal announcement to tell us that the West Virginia Attorney General will open an investigation into the NCAA after the Mountaineers were left out of the NCAA tournament. This, to me, is the cringiest thing that politicians do, pretending to care about sporting events and matters that have to do with local sports teams simply to get votes from their constituents. We see it all the time. Come on. That's what made me say, oh, no.
Quickly, Bert.
My oh no is the fact that we can't enjoy a beer while doing active things anymore. If you guys have seen the ads on YouTube, there is a new beer, Athletic Light, 25 calories and no alcohol. Why the hell would I want to do this? Have y'all seen the Michelob commercials where Michelob's like, oh, you could play pickleball and play people for beer. Why the hell? I can't have a beer and be athletic anymore? And also, who the hell is drinking unathletic beer? Who isn't every beer athletic? None of that matters to me. I'm just drinking beer for the love of the game. Yeah, I don't get drunk anymore. I just love the way it feels. Nobody has ever said that. We all drink it to get that fuzzy feeling in our bellies. So athletic beer, you're my oh no of the week. No one wants to drink that swill.
Wade Boggs once drank 70 beers allegedly on a cross-country road trip, and then it went like 3 for 5 the next day?
He could have drank 200 of these, only 25 calories.
Bring back drunks and steroids in baseball.
I'm telling you, not just baseball. Bring back drunks in every sport. I'm cool with it. Long as it ain't NASCAR, I'm cool with it.
All right. 615-737-1045 for the opportunity to win some tickets. Dean is in Old Hickory.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hello.
So my oh no is saw a report that Sanders is going to go number 2 to Cleveland. Total smokescreen to try to get the Giants to jump, and I think it's going to work.
Well, what's more likely, Shador getting drafted by the Browns who need a quarterback, or Shador falling out of the first round? Because I feel like it's the Brown scenario.
Yeah, no, for sure. Shador getting drafted in the top 3 is more likely than him falling out of the first round entirely.
Yeah, I don't know that that's a smokescreen at all. That's a team that very much needs a quarterback, and there's only 2 of them really that anybody are talking about it in the first round, and really it's just been the one. Quinn in Smyrna.
Hey, so my oh no for this week, I'm a big Duke fan, right? But the oh no has to be Jalen Withers for UNC. The lane violation.
Yeah.
To cause them the game, man, that was it's good for me, being a Duke fan, but yeah, definitely Jalen Withers with the lane violation for North Carolina.
Yeah, that wins.
Yeah, that's the winner. That lane violation for North Carolina to go down 0-3 to Duke on the season and still finding a way to get into the tournament. One of the biggest crimes out there. Congratulations.
Should have left them out of the tournament. That should have been what. It would have been better if the lane violation is what kept them out of the tournament entirely, but it's a great submission.
Well done by Quinn. He gets the tickets and the $100 gift card to a Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. Normally we do oh no for longer, but we spent too much time with Slay and Ramon, and we have Nate Tice of Yahoo coming up next.
It is 11:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. One NFL transaction this morning. Former first-round pick and cornerback Jeff Okudah has landed with the Minnesota Vikings on a one-year deal. Okudah on his fourth NFL team after being the number 3 overall pick in the 2020 draft to Detroit. NCAA tournament begins tonight with the first 4. St. Francis, PA takes on Alabama State at 5:40. The winner will be the 16 seed to play Auburn in the round of 64. And then tonight at 8:10, North Carolina and San Diego State face off in Dayton. The winner is the 11 seed that will play Ole Miss. You can hear the Westwood One coverage of both games starting at 6 right here on The Zone. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
We were talking a lot about the quarterbacks in the NFL draft and really the quarterback in the NFL draft, Cam Ward, and how likely he is at this point to be the number 1 overall pick by the Tennessee Titans. Anytime we talk about players, we defer to people who are much smarter than us when it comes to the consumption and the breaking down of tape. And so we outsource today to Nate Tice of Yahoo Sports. Football 301 is the podcast. You can check it out wherever you get your podcast. It's good to see you, buddy. Thanks for jumping on short notice. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. You sent me the 5 a.m. text my time yesterday, and I just must have missed it. It must have been I glanced at it and then put it back down, and then this morning I wake up and I'm like, oh shoot, got to text Buck back. So I'm glad I got to come on anyway. So I'm very happy to be here. You said you're going to have smarter people on though, so I'm sorry that I'm default. The 2 sweetest words in the English language.
The
default.
old next day response to the "you up" text is what Buck got.
It was a you up text. I don't know if Buck was completing the night from Prime 47 or if that was just him working up bright and early on a Monday morning.
I get up early, but I forget that you're in a different time zone, so I'm deeply apologetic about sending you a 5 a.m.
Don't worry.
text.
I have a 2-year-old son, so I'm up about 5:30 every day anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
Still, one you are obligated to deal with, and the other one you can just, basically you can respond to those with a middle finger emoji, and I'll circle back a couple hours later. That's typically
it was all good. It was all good. We're here.
People should text back at 5 a.m. in the morning. Yes, indeed, we are here, and so is your analysis of Cam Ward. Obviously, people can hear you on Football 301 on a regular basis, where you guys have talked about a great many prospects, players and teams in this draft, but I always enjoy the deep dives that you do, Nate, at yahoo.com and yahoosports.com, and your Cam Ward piece was no different. The word that you used to describe him, or the best word that you used to describe him, is creative, and I wonder if you could flesh that out specifically with examples that you saw and where you saw him take the biggest jump, because as you note in the piece, this is a player that's been a lot of different spots, played a lot of football at a bunch of different levels, and the experience that he is going to bring to the next step of his football career is going to be a fascinating one to see how it translates.
Yeah, I think what's so interesting with Ward is I watch a lot of these guys as the season's going along, but I'm not taking detailed notes. I'm not looking too much at stats. I'm not pulling clips to post on Twitter for dopamine, for a few likes or retweets or anything. So when I write these articles, it's a lot more fun because I'm really deep diving, watching 6 games and pulling clips and seeing more trends and seeing more okay, this is what this guy is. And when you watch Cam Ward, the first thing you see is just how creative he is. Unorthodox was another word I used in there. And kind of the realization I came to was there was always a reason why he was doing something funky. And maybe a comparison I brought up to was maybe a point guard throwing a behind the back pass. And at first you're like, oh, that's flashy. Why are you doing that? But then you realize when you get to the highest levels, sometimes that's the best pass because you're trying to accomplish what the task is. And that's what's something that really grew on me with Ward was as I watched him, his sense of timing, his sense of understanding the concept and what he needs to achieve on the concept is good. It's a high baseline, way more than I even give him credit for. And that's why you want to watch these guys, even go deep dive into it, was yeah, he's throwing something sidearm, but it's because he knows he has to get rid of the ball at this time to make the play as most efficient as it could be, or most explosive it could be, to get the high end result that you can get out of a play. His sense of timing, his anticipation really was, I would put it at the good landmark, maybe even better than that, which was really, again, it grew on me. And I think because this is a guy that hasn't been groomed since 9 years old to be a quarterback, and he doesn't play robotic. He plays like an athlete. And I'm not saying that as a stereotypical word as we describe some guys and going like, oh, this guy is an athlete, but he's not a quarterback. He's an athlete in the sense as he knows how to contort his body. He knows how to play in a winning position and get things and accomplish things and get things done, even if he's not in an ideal position. And the irony of that, he's not exceptionally fast. He's a good enough speed. He's an efficient scrambler is the term I kind of came to. He can get that first down, get down, we're good. You can maybe do a design run with him in short yardage, and then you're good with that, or some draws. But he's not an overwhelmingly fast athlete. He doesn't have an overwhelming arm. It's a good arm. But again, this whole combination of like his background not being kind of unorthodox, being a wing T quarterback in high school, being a small recruit or a small star recruit, I think a 1-star or a no-star recruit, going to Incarnate Ward, going to Wazoo, these offenses that are very spread and, dink and dunk and get rid of the ball quickly. You have to throw the screen because that's what our run game is. It's actually led to now this kind of, I wouldn't say a final product, but a prospect that does things unusually, but it's with a good sense of timing, a good sense of playing quarterback in his head. So like I said before, it's like he just really, really grew on me the more I studied him. And I gave him more credit now I'm giving him more credit than maybe I have in the last few months.
Well, and I love that you brought up, to the point of, well, a lot of these players, that the training is so specific from such a young age that they start to become robotic, or maybe cookie cutter is not the right word, but there's a certain way that people have an expectation for players at that position to look or to work through their progressions, or to go through all the mechanics that the position requires, so that when you throw in somebody who doesn't necessarily have that background but is still playing the position at a high level, I think it does the player a disservice when the people studying the position get a bit of a wild card thrown into the mix there, and they just kind of throw up their hands and be like, well, he doesn't look like the rest of them, or he doesn't play like the rest of them, so maybe he's not as good as the rest of them. I feel like that's almost been a part of the conversation around Cam Ward. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair to describe it that way. I think it's like a jazz musician that actually knows how to read music. It's going to seem offhand and seem like, wow, that guy's one of a kind and unique, and I don't know if that's sound. And then when you realize that he plays very sound, and that's what's really cool. Like, he gets the job done, even if it's not robotic. I think Tennessee right now has a quarterback that plays very robotic and very overcoached in a way. And I'm not saying the current coaching staff, I just mean over time with Will Levis, and that he can be very robotic. I have to go 1, 2, 3, and the ball has to get out just like this. While Cam Ward will have a different rhythm, the rhythm is correct. And it's a weird disconnect as far as his play style and how I'm trying to describe him, that there's more soundness to it. But again, when you're getting away from a guy that's like, well, this is how I was taught at 14-year-old 7-on-7 camp, and this is what I'm going to be robotic. Whoa, the pocket's not clean. That window's not there and perfect and pristine because we're not throwing routes on air. That's what's really cool, watching Cam Ward be a football player and be an athlete while doing the things that you have to do to be a good quarterback. So it's it's a fun combination. He doesn't have some of the overwhelming traits, but again, it just has a lot of that good base mark that I think is really growing on not just me, but I think other people that are watching him and studying him as well.
He's Nate Tice of Yahoo Sports. You can read his piece on Cam Ward up at yahoosports.com or sports.yahoo.com right now. You can also follow the podcast, Football 301, wherever you get your podcasts.
So, Nate, Cam Ward, it sounds like his career has been littered with misconceptions at every turn, right? Wing T offense in high school, so he can't throw the football. The bowl game situation in Miami, he quit on his team at halftime. That was the plan going in, if you ask Mario Cristobal and that coaching staff. The turnovers, he's a turnover issue. He's had 14 interceptions in the last 2 years combined. You've listed a lot of them just now, but to you, what is the single biggest misconception about Cam Ward as a quarterback prospect?
Well, yeah, just kind of what I've been describing, kind of just more of his loosey style, but actually it's sound style. Some of the turnover stuff is very real. I would say that, I would say more of the strip sacks is something that he would have to maybe, clean up at the next level. He has over 30 career fumbles, doesn't have the biggest hands. It's 9-inch hands, which is like right at that cutoff, of all that. But I would say maybe even another misconception is because he has a natural sidearm throwing style, that is quote unquote bad. Like that is just because it's unusual and not, picture perfect, doesn't look like Roger Clemens, pitching off the mound, like, oh, this must be bad, is that's actually a benefit to how he plays. I talked about how he can find windows and change his arm slot. He naturally is able to do that while keeping some accuracy with it. And also I would say is, I think usually when you see a quarterback that might be sub 6'2", he was just under 6'2", throws sidearm, he gets a lot of balls batted down. Cam Ward only had 4 balls batted down this entire season. Shador Sanders had 10. With it's just not even, he again knows how to accomplish a task, even if it's an unusual way of getting there. And that's like another instance of that, is that he can change his arm slots to find those angles. And that's what you need to do in the NFL level. So I think maybe the misconception, if I just want to kind of summarize all of this, is that he's more pro ready than he's getting credit for, because of just his understanding of timing and understanding of how to get rid of the ball on time. That's what you need more than anything in the NFL, because the windows are just so small that you're a half second late and you don't have an overwhelming arm, you're dead. Or you are 50-50 at chance going to accomplish what you need to accomplish. Ward has that good, but not elite arm, but he already has that timing and sense of his head. So again, that's the misconception, is that his floor is way higher than he gets credit for. I think is the biggest misconception about him.
So even just mentioning the phrase sidearm throws automatically puts Patrick Mahomes into the minds of anybody listening, right? And I'm not trying to lead us down a path of comparing the two quarterbacks, but a big thing with Mahomes coming out was the way Andy Reid kind of used a lot of those red flags that were working against Mahomes in the pre-draft process and kind of turned them into strengths, right? To make him this superhuman, maybe the best quarterback we've ever seen. Has that experience, what Mahomes and Andy Reid, what he did with Mahomes, has that changed anything about how you evaluate these guys in terms of some of these misconceptions that you're talking about actually turning into a strength for some of these prospects like a Cam Ward?
I think we're maybe not even just Mahomes, but guys like Allen, Lamar Jackson, even a guy like Justin Herbert, the guys at the top of the league. I maybe have gotten spoiled with this as growing up around Dante Culpepper, is that most quarterbacks are more of that mold now than other quarterbacks of that era of the early aughts. Actually, Tennessee had another quarterback of that who I do compare Cam Ward to, which is Steve McNair, which I've seen others kind of co-opt that comparison, which I take as a badge of honor. But I would say watching the guys like Mahomes, the guys that the true elite needle movers, like there's that big tier difference between the guys and then good enough to win with. I think Cam at the very least is good enough to win with, but it's that creativity, which is the word that we started this whole conversation with, and I wrote about with Ward. It's not just creativity of scrambling or running around and throwing stuff outside the pocket and running and juking guys. There's creativity with arm angles, like which I brought up, but also just moving in the pocket and finding throwing lanes or scrambling to throw. And I think that's where modern quarterback play, it's a prerequisite, especially if you're taking a guy top 10. You have to be able to accomplish things within the pocket, within structure, but also have the creativity to ad-lib, and not just with your legs, but with your arm as well. This is why I was super high on Drake May last year, because I think he has all of the skill sets for this. This is why Jaden Daniels had some success last year. It's why Caleb Williams, I think, is going to be perfectly fine, because he's able to accomplish both. That's what you have to be a real needle-moving quarterback. Accomplish if everything's scripted, everything's great and clean, you have to accomplish that. If things are just a little off kilter, a little screwy, you still have to get a positive play out of there. And I would say, I want to say it was Jordan Palmer had the line, and he was talking about Jared Goff. And he said, Jared Goff is the last quarterback that'll look like that'll go pick number 1. And he means a true pocket passer, no lack of creativity. As much as if you can be high on Goff, he's a great pocket passer. But as soon as things get screwy, it all just comes unraveled. And now I think you got take a guy top 10, they have to be able to create. Guess what? Cam Ward can create. And that's why I think you see that threshold the top guys have. And when I look at these prospects, it's like, well, do you have that? You don't? Well, all right, I'm knocking you down a little bit. That's why I was a little lower on Michael Penix, good athlete, but does not want to scramble and does not want to be creative. He wants to accomplish stuff from the pocket. So that's why I was a little lower on him, because I wasn't sure he could touch that ceiling that I think these guys should have.
And God knows Cam Ward has the confidence to think that he can make these throws or make these plays no matter what the scenario is. And I love, the McNair thing is such an interesting one. I guess, Nate, for you, what tape did you have on where that picture started to come into your mind? Because what I appreciate about you, beyond just the analysis of draft prospects and players and schematics that teams implement throughout the course of the NFL regular season, is that you have a depth of knowledge to be able to make those callbacks and to kind of provide examples of that. What tape was that? not when it comes. Listen, when you bring up Steve McNair here in Tennessee, that's not useless, bud. That's something that really, really rings some bells here, because they're just looking for some kind of quarterback that they can really lean into. It's been so damn long. So beyond evoking the emotional component of that and the intangible characteristics of McNair, that he just go out there and win games that you can't really quantify. What was it for you, or what kind of sequence was it for you that led you to start to have that comparison?
There's a couple runaround plays where Ward is bouncing off tackles or running out of kind of arm tackles in the pocket and would do like a little half spin. And I was like, I've seen this before. And then I kind of looked at the height and weight, and I was, man, where is this? And good old YouTube. I remember McNair from back when I was, a teenager and a kid and everything. But again, I just want to rekindle the brain a little bit. And looking at it, they have the exact same build. They're both, Steve McNair was sub 6'2" at the combine. He's 6'1.5" or 6'1 3/4. I think they are almost the exact same height as Cam Ward. Cam Ward was 219, I think, at the combine. I think McNair was like 223, 224. So within the same little range there, same weight class, I would say. I would say McNair, though, had a stronger arm and was a little bit faster. Like, he had a little bit more traits than Ward does. But play style, that sense of calmness, that toughness as a runner, they win more with balance and contact balance and strength, as opposed to maybe outright speed. Throwing creativity, I thought McNair was always one of the best players I've ever seen throwing on the move. And I think Ward is very accomplished in that area as well. It just happened that, the Titans might be taking Cam Ward as the number one pick. And the McNair was my comparison even from a few months ago, just waiting for the process to kind of like maximize where eyeballs on it, making that comparison. Now Titans have the number one pick. So I was like, oh, this kind of works out. But no, just build maybe some of the creation plays where it was a lot of those little half spins and everything. The throwing style isn't exactly the same. McNair was a little more traditional, a little bit more 3/4, but still, as far as just that creativity as a player with the build and with that strength and with that just calm demeanor. I don't know how to describe it. Just that I can't relate because I was a little more frantic as a quarterback. So, but just watching McNair and then watching Ward, just that sense of calmness on every play. Like, they always know what the answer is going to be, even if the path to get to the answer when they have to show their work might be a little unorthodox, as I'll put it again. But again, I think it's a pretty easy comparison, one I've started to really like, as I kind of even have sat and marinated on a little bit. That's why I kind of keep touting it a little bit.
It's a good one. Unorthodox doesn't matter as long as they find ways to make plays, and that's what it ultimately comes down to. And you have the necessary structure in place to support them, which is, of course, our biggest question here in Tennessee as to whether they are going to, and there will be some growing pains in year one. No player, when they get to the NFL level, is a finished product, and nobody expects it to be seamless. There was a million different reasons why Jaden Daniels had the success that he did, beyond just being talented and going as the number 2 overall selection in last year's draft. So as you look at the roster construction of the Titans, understanding that they've made some moves along the offensive line, Zeitler being brought in here from Detroit, Dan Moore, the left tackle from the Pittsburgh Steelers, on a lucrative contract. But if it moves J.C. Latham over to right and puts him in a more comfortable position, then you're not as bent out of shape about the cost. Tony Pollard coming off a career year, even if he was the only good thing that they did on offense last year. How do you kind of see the mold of what they are building here in Tennessee, and how that might help support Cam Ward as he moves forward? Or in a perfect world for you, would you rather see the player sit?
No, I'd rather have him play. I've always been more of a fan of a guy playing early on, even though if I brought up Culpepper, who sat a year before he started playing, he was coming from UCF, all that stuff. I like guys seeing live bullets early and getting used to that, getting used to the speed of the game. And I think a guy like Ward would definitely need that. As I mentioned before, I want to know, I think he has to learn how much he can test throws and learn what his arm limitations are. I keep acting like he has a soft arm. He has a great arm. It's a good arm. It's just not that upper tier arm that I think that's where he has to figure it out. And I think he only could do that by making mistakes or having successes early. And then you just learn and watch yourself playing and learn what your thresholds are. I think I really am coming around on what the Titans are doing. I thought their defense had a lot of good bones last year. It kind of fell off in the second half of the year. But I really do. We won't talk about special teams, but we'll just focus on defense and offense.
Please God.
But I think on offense, though, I've been more. I understand the thinking behind the Dan Moore signing. I think more than the initial reaction that came out there. Is he a league average, above average tackle? That's where I would slot him. I would put him at above average. It's so hard to find these guys, and he's 26 and he doesn't have injury history, which I think is as important as anything else, that you can rely on him starting your 17 games at the tackle spot. And if he only gets you, I wouldn't say replacement level, but solid play, I still think that's a big improvement over what the Titans have had, or what a lot of teams have maybe at their tackle spots, because I'm still bullish on Latham. I thought putting him at the left side was always going to be a little iffy, but you had to give it a shot and see what he out there. Now he's going back to his college position at right tackle, where I think putting Zeitler next to him, now you got 700 pounds of beef on the right-hand side, which I think is really interesting, because now you go, okay, we run behind the right side. Anytime we have a short yardage play, let's run behind the right side. And I think that's a nice weapon to have. I think Zeitler is a good player still. I played with him at Wisconsin. I'm here talking to you guys. He's still playing in the league. He's a good pro. Like, he takes care of himself. He's smart. So I think that's going to be really good for Latham as well. It's not you're just throwing in some guy there that's just a stopgap. He is a stopgap, but he's a quality stopgap. I really like that signing. Now you get more. Now you got Cushenberry, hopefully back at center. And then at left guard, you got Skoronski. This, to me, is a top 12 offensive line, at least in theory. And then you got Bill Callahan behind it. So I think at the very least, that's a great place to put a young quarterback, especially one that you're trying to, learn what his thresholds are. I think a misconception what's happened the last few years is some of the teams that maybe splashed, like the Eagles. They brought in A.J. Brown. Everyone goes, that's what put him over the top, while completely ignoring what their offensive line has been doing the last decade. They go, Saquon Barkley put him over top, ignoring what the offensive line has been doing there. The offensive line is the engine of the team, of any team. That's why I'm very curious what the Bengals are going to end up doing and trying to figure that out. But that's why I'm optimistic and way more bullish on what the Titans are doing than I was even a month ago. I would say just free agency and maybe just marinating on what this class is. It's like, that's why I'm like, man, this is actually set up okay. Calvin Ridley is ideally a high end 2, as opposed to maybe your number 1 target getter, but it's a much better situation to have somebody and some other guys that are okay. I actually like the tight ends more than most people. I'm like the one guy that watched Josh Wiley. Nationally, I might be the only person that knows.
Following here for reasons that are beyond me. I might be for sure.
The only person that knows his name. I liked him back in Cincinnati when I was watching Desmond Ridder. I was like, I actually like this skinny tight end that was doing some things. But anyways, I think they have a higher floor, even though they have the number 1 pick, then I think people realize, because they did the nice tweaks along their offensive line that makes me feel more bullish about them. So, yeah, I like the ecosystem that you could drop Ward into. Again, a lot more than I did a month ago.
NateTiceSports.yahoo.com is where you can read his deep dive on Miami quarterback and potential number 1 overall pick, likely number 1 overall pick, Cam Ward.
Nate_Tice on Twitter. And one of the many reasons I think you're a great follow, Nate, are your totally out of left field random comparisons to players in different eras from different sports. And to put a bow on the Cam Ward discussion, you did this with Caleb Williams last year, where you brought up Gahincha, who nobody will know who that is, a Brazilian soccer player from the 50s and 60s, regarded as one of the greatest dribblers in the history of the sport. And then you put up the video, and it's striking, the change of direction. Caleb Williams is shifting in the pocket. So I know I'm putting you on the spot here. Do you have one of those random out of left field different? Oh, you already do for Cam Ward. Fantastic.
I do, because I regret not putting it in my article, because I had it in my notes and I just totally forgot to put it in there. It's a skateboarder.
Oh,
it's Rodney Mullen.
Amazing.
Stop it.
How about that one? Because he's very technically sound, but because he's so technically sound, he can do all the creative flair and do all the crazy things. If anyone doesn't know, Rodney Mullen invented the kickflip. He is the street skating version of Tony Hawk is to vert skating, but also an interesting interview. I highly recommend any interviews with Rodney Mullen because he's a very smart guy. I think he has like an engineering degree from Florida. But anyways, Rodney Mullen, that would be my comparison for Cam Ward, just because of his creativity, but he has more technicality and more technical ability than you would think because of all the creativity that he plays with.
You just made the tiniest percentage of our audience so happy. I mean,
oh yeah, that's all I live for. If I could just get 2 people that go, yes,
oh my goodness,
that's what I live for. That's it.
Always delightful to have Nate Tice on of Yahoo Sports. Sports.yahoo.com is where you can read the piece. Football 301 is where you can listen to all his analysis. They have a great crew doing a lot of fun stuff there at Yahoo. Buddy, thank you for jumping on the show. I apologize. I will never text you at 5 a.m. your time ever again.
You're welcome. 24/7 to text me, Buck. You're totally fine. Doesn't matter the time zone, even when you're in Europe.
We love to see it. Nate Tice, kind enough to make some time with us here on 104.5 The Zone. He's always a great get. All right, coming up next, we can chew on some of what Nate had to say. And also, one of the most embarrassing sports moments took place yesterday in a Knicks game, and Lucas has a story that rivals just that. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Will I have enough money when I retire? When should I draw from Social Security? If these questions keep you up at night, let me introduce you to a team that's there to keep you on the right track and guide you through it. That's Trajan Wealth, Trajan Wealth, not just any financial firm. They're your partners in securing your financial future. And they're more than just a fiduciary firm. They're a family-owned, veteran-led team that puts your needs first. Let their decades of experience specializing in retirement planning and wealth management work for you. Trajan Wealth offers free consultations to help you develop your plan and your peace of mind. So call them today at 615-270-5000. That's 615-270-5000, or visit them online at TrajanWealth.com. Trajan Wealth advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is a paid advertisement. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. So, last week when we were doing the SEC tournament and Orlovsky was on Pat McAfee's show talking about Steve McNair and Cam Ward, and I said, I get what they're doing. I don't love it for Cam Ward's sake because it's a lot of pressure. Just the name, right? The name, Steve McNair, when you are drafted to the Tennessee Titans organization, brings a tremendous amount of pressure before you have even taken a snap or participated in a practice or gone to a meeting or put on a uniform. All these things. But when you watch him, when you see the different ways that Nate Tice is articulating things that Steve McNair did on a professional football field that Cam Ward also brings to the table prior to even playing a professional snap, I totally get why people are comfortable making that draft comp. Draft comps are they are what they are. And some people try to force it. Other people just kind of let it come to their mind. And it's why I like Nate, because he's sitting there watching the player and saying, I know this. I've seen this move somewhere. And then he goes on a YouTube deep dive. God knows how long it takes him, and I don't know necessarily what you search for if you don't know the player that you're looking for. So however Nate got to Steve McNair and watching Steve McNair highlights again, beyond just the measurables, it's interesting to see. But that's gotta, if Titans fans weren't already excited about the potential of a quarterback in the first round, getting, we'll call him Steve McNair light, would be something that would very much galvanize this fan base, and a fan base that desperately needs galvanizing in some form or fashion.
I get why you don't like it, but it also comes with the territory.
Oh, sure.
Right? Like, the pressure is already there. The pressure comes from being the number 1 overall pick and day 1 starter, which is what we presume, with Brandon Allen being the option as the Titans' veteran quarterback signing. It is a unique situation. It'd be like if the Panthers drafted a player that was compared to Cam Newton, number 1 overall, or something like that.
It'd be tough to find. If you got another Cam Newton running around out there.
Physical dual threat. Right. I mean, it would be, if the Niners drafted someone that the Joe Montana comp is what everybody was throwing out there. But the pressure, it comes with the territory. And he doesn't seem like the type of player to be bothered by it. But I'm just so fascinated at this era of evaluating quarterback prospects and trying to throw away so much of what is so ingrained in us and what makes a good quarterback prospect, right? What he said about Jared Goff is interesting, that's the last time he believes a pure pocket passer will be selected with the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
I mean, he's right. You have to have mobility. Lucas, the best athletes on the field, I mean, you probably argue that they're cornerbacks or wide receiver, but then very soon thereafter, it's these defensive ends. These guys are crazy. The level of athleticism that is coming at you as defensive linemen or on the defensive line, there's no, Poona Ford is a fun kind of novelty because he's a squatty little nose tackle that looks like a fire hydrant but also has high-level athleticism. But very rarely do they look like Poona Ford anymore. They more often look like Jeff Simmons. Jeff is built like Superman. These guys can run faster, jump higher, and make your life a living hell. And a lot of times they are significantly, not marginally better athletes than the quarterbacks that they're going up against. But here in the last 10 to 15 years, they are significantly better athletes than the guys that they're going up against. So to me, that only makes sense as a part of the evolution of the sport. It's like 7-footers that can't shoot from range in the NBA. You have to have some level of game from the perimeter if you're going to make it as an NBA prospect. And I know we're kind of testing that theory with Zach Edey, who's been a pretty productive rookie
good.
For those of you who are watching the Grizzlies.
It's why Oscar Tshiebwe didn't get drafted, right? It is interesting, especially as you look at the career of Patrick Mahomes and all of the things that were a knock against him coming out. But that has been turned into a strength for him. It also has happened under the watchful eye of Andy Reid. So that's another part of this, too, is having a coach, a play caller in Brian Callahan that is able to utilize those strengths properly.
Well, that's an entirely different conversation because, on time, on rhythm, overcoached is how he described Will Levis, Nate Tice did. And maybe you're just trying so hard to square peg, round hole the Will Levis thing. And Will Levis also comes with a degree of rigidity that not a lot of quarterbacks do. I mean, there's no question that he's tightly wound, just as a player and a bit as a person. Maybe it's different with Cam Ward, and it'll be easier, and it's more of a lump of clay that Brian Callahan, quarterback expert, is able to mold. We'll just have to let the season play out.
Well, it's the ultimate test of can the scheme fit the player and not the other way around, because there's no question Shador Sanders would be a better fit into what Brian Callahan looks for in his system. Cam Ward, there's no question at this point, I think, is the better player, at least as a prospect. There's consensus there, right? Can we say that? We have arrived at consensus.
Yes.
He is QB1. Callahan's talked a lot about you opt for the better player. You adjust to the better player. This will be a very interesting test of that in 2025.
All right. You want to talk about your embarrassing sports moments?
Sure.
All right. Well, since Tracy McGrady threw up on the Knicks court last night.
Not Tracy McGrady. Try again. SNL.
It's not Tracy McGrady.
Come on.
I did basketball.
You can do it. 30 Rock.
Can't just pick every cross-eyed guy you know, dude. That's not right.
Is SNL Tracy cross-eyed?
Pretty close.
I'm not going to get it.
Tracy Morgan. Come on.
Tracy Morgan threw up on a basketball court. Lucas did something similar. Find out next. Oh, I don't know what I'd rather talk about more that happened last night. Tracy Morgan's incident at Madison Square Garden or the Sabrina Carpenter concert?
What, did you go to a Sabrina Carpenter concert?
No. Did you not see what she was doing at her show in Paris on social media?
I did not.
Okay. Don't look it up on a work computer. But we are pro Sabrina Carpenter in this household. 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to jump in. Tracy Morgan, hospitalized for food poisoning last night after he threw up on the floor while sitting courtside at Madison Square Garden during the Knicks Heat game. He posted on Instagram after the fact from his hospital bed with a phone with the Knicks logo. I guess that's his background. No, that's his phone case. He's got a Knicks phone case on his chest and says, more importantly, the Knicks are now 1-0 when I throw up on the court, so maybe I'll have to break it out again in the playoffs. The Knicks won 116-95, but it was about a 10 to 15 minute period that the game was delayed because he threw up on the court. He's courtside and the mess, trickles out and things have to be mopped up and cleaned up after the fact, and to make sure that Tracy Morgan is, of course, okay. So glad to know that he's okay.
Now, first of all, relief that it was food poisoning. I know food poisoning sucks, but Tracy Morgan has dealt with a lot of health issues over the last 10 years, including
MS.
Yes, I believe so, and including a near-fatal car accident not too long ago that had him out of the public eye for a long time. So it's been awesome to see him back involved. He did SNL 50th a couple of weeks ago, and glad to hear it was only food poisoning.
You have a similar story that I don't know if the audience knows or not, but I think it's worth telling at this point.
Surely we've talked about this.
I don't think we have. I don't believe we have. But you have a thing that's a little less public, or at least publicly viewable, that I think is as close to this Tracy Morgan incident as I could find.
Yes. Not quite courtside at a basketball game as a fan. I was working. It was on the air. It was 2023.
The year was 2023.
It was
7 years ago.
A Nashville Soccer Club broadcast. They were hosting Inter Miami, the pre-Lionel Messi edition of Inter Miami at Geodis Park. I was doing the game with our then analyst, Jalil Anibaba, and first half went great. And, mostly went great. By the end of the first half, the 42nd minute or so, I started feeling some waves of nausea, and it was not good. Halftime, I'm kind of doing breathing exercises, just telling myself mind over matter, but it just got worse and worse and worse. I didn't know if I just ate something. I didn't know if I had some sort of stomach bug. But the second half starts, and at some point in the second half, early in the second half, I knew it was coming. I'm calling the game, doing play-by-play in the radio booth. Nashville's having a good performance. They're winning maybe 1-0 at the half, if I'm not mistaken, on a Hani Mukhtar goal. Early second half, I know this is about to be unavoidable. So I just look at Jaleel. I pop my mic down, throw my headset off, look at him, and I just do this finger motion of you go, talk. And he's doing this elongated analysis as I sprint to the back of the booth and throw up in a trash can. And it felt, you have those moments where it feels like it takes every ounce of energy out of you and you could just collapse and sleep for 12 hours.
Yes, this radio show every day.
Every day. Every day.
I fight this every damn day.
But I went back, I did my thing. I basically dragged myself back to the front of the booth, chugged some water, put my headset back on, and then started calling the game again. And I thought, I got it out of my system. I'm going to be good. That was not the case. Shortly thereafter, Nashville scored. Again, it was a header by Lucas McNaughton. And I thought, as I was calling the goal, because you got to get up, right? Suddenly, you got to get the air in your lungs out and make a goal call. I thought I was about to throw up out of the booth and onto the crowd below.
It would be so great.
No, it wouldn't.
I would have rooted so hard for you to vomit on the section below you. That would have been unbelievable.
I escaped by the skin of my teeth holding it in during the goal call, but it happened again later in the game. I had to run to the back of the booth. I'd come back, and then the game ends, and I gutted out through the post-game show. Shout out to Jaleel. He was awesome. He was running during breaks, getting me water and Sprite. He was a great teammate that night. But I basically limped back to my car. I think I texted you. I texted our boss.
You called me.
I called Robert because I was like, hey, man, I'm not going to make it. And I pulled over on the side of the interstate during the phone call with Robert because I felt it coming on again. And I mean, Robert can speak to it better than I can.
This was the most terrifying part for me because Lucas was like, hey, man, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And he's being very vague in his language. Lucas is not always the most direct person when he's telling stories. Sometimes it takes him a little bit to get there. So he's like,
as evidenced by that last story.
I'm not going to make it, man. I think I'm going to have to. And I hear his car pull off the road. I hear his car door open. And I just, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Are you okay?
That's the sound of vomit for those listening, not the sound of cars whipping by.
That was the sound of the 18-wheeler going right by him. Luke, when he got done, he was like, I don't think I'm going to make it into work today. I'm like, are you okay? Do you need a ride? Can I do something for you? Like, it was tough, man. I thought you were going to die on the side of the road there for a second.
I was too. I got home somehow. I staggered out of my car, threw up in my front yard, collapsed onto my couch in the living room. Everything hurt. And my roommate, Blue, was like, you have appendicitis. I'm taking you to the hospital.
Did you actually?
I go to the hospital. I'm there. I'm doing tests. I did not have appendicitis. I had a high white blood cell count, which Megan has explained to me before what that means, but I don't remember. At the end of the day, I just had a really bad stomach bug. And, I went home and I missed the next day of work and I was back at it. But yes.
See, I have had something like that, but it wasn't a stomach bug. I used to wrestle in high school, and I was pretty good at it. But when you were cutting weight, like there was all kind of ways to cut weight. Like you used to either wear trash bags underneath your hoodies, or you would duct tape water bottles up and spit in them all day. Well, I got tired of spitting. I got tired of not eating. I got tired of trash bags, so I decided I was going to take a laxative. I was like, oh, if I can't spit it out, I might as well poop it out. You know what I mean? So I took the laxative, and it didn't hit. I'm like, I really ain't pooping like I feel like I should be pooping right now. So I took another one. And we had to match that night. I was wrestling 160s. I was like, I got to cut, man. I got to cut. So it still didn't happen.
You were wrestling 160?
Oh, I'm telling you. College will get you thick now. College will get you thick. This is also my sophomore year of high school, so not like my senior year. I wasn't a finished product. I wasn't a full-fledged man by then yet. But anyway, I get out there, and we're wrestling Parkland. And if you don't know nothing about North Carolina wrestling, Parkland has put more wrestlers in college than any high school in North Carolina. They have tryouts where other wrestling teams just say, show up, and we'll just keep as many of you dudes around that'll stay around. And I was wrestling this state runner-up dude, looked like he was chiseled out of granite, and my stomach starts to... And I'm telling my coach, like, Coach, man, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know if I can get through this. He's like, nah, you going to get through this, and you going to win. He's trying to fire me up, right? And our colors were orange and black, so I got this full orange, look like a traffic cone singlet on. And I go out there.
Oh, we need pictures.
Get ready to wrestle this dude, and whistle blows. We start wrestling. He grabs me, and a barnyard is where you grab somebody by their, I think it's the outside wrist, headlock, and you kind of use your body to trip them. And when he flipped me over and landed on me, I splattered everywhere. No. All in the singlet, all in the mat, all on the cone. The referee's like, stop the damn match. Stop it. My mom's screaming like, somebody get this fella a towel. Oh my, I didn't want to ever wrestle again. It was like, imagine you got an F-150 and he's an F-150 and I'm a tube of toothpaste. And the tube you can't put it back. You can't put it back. My girlfriend was there. I think I got broke up with that weekend. She's like, you still stink. She's like, talk about a kiss. I ain't going to hold your hand. So mine wasn't as sick. Mine was my own fault because I overdosed on laxatives.
Oh, not you taking laxatives like a weed gummy. Like, oh, this one didn't hit yet. Let me take one an hour later.
I was trying to cut weight, man. And the bad part was I made weight without ever pooping from the laxatives.
Oh, so it was all for naught.
It was all for naught. Well, I thought I was going to be a little heavier. I think probably the night before I had a little midnight snacky.
You should have
know
just
what I
kept
mean?
going. So there's no rules against this. Show me in the rule book where this is.
Come on, let's get down and dirty.
That was your advantage.
Rub it on my hands, rub it on my face.
You're like a squid that inks like Finding Nemo. That's your defense mechanism.
I inked. Well, I'm telling you one thing. They definitely wasn't going to touch my butt.
Yeah, you were an underdog. That's how you find an edge.
I don't know who I feel worse for, you, your girlfriend, or the wrestler that you were up against who had to deal with that mess.
There wasn't no ghost wipes after that one. I'll tell you that right now. It was like a Sharpie. Just kept going.
I thought I had a story like this. Meanwhile, you were just had that in the back pocket.
Well, he's a one-upper, Robert Walsh. All right, shall we pivot back to football time?
Yeah, I guess.
The Titans, they're comfortable with Cam Ward. Find out more next.
12:03. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzika. In NFL news today, Brandon Graham is hanging it up. The Philadelphia Eagles legend announcing his retirement today at the age of 36 after 15 seasons, every one of them in Philadelphia, and 2 Super Bowl titles. The NCAA tournament begins tonight with the first 4. St. Francis, PA takes on Alabama State at 5:40. The winner will be the 16th seed to take on top-seeded Auburn in the round of 64. And tipping off tonight at 8:10, North Carolina and San Diego State face off in Dayton. The winner will be the 11 seed to play Ole Miss. You can hear the Westwood One coverage of both games beginning at 6 right here on The Zone. The Nashville Predators are headed to Sweden in 2025 for the NHL Global Series. They'll play the Pittsburgh Penguins in Stockholm on November 14th and 16th. The Preds are back home tonight, starting a 3-game homestand against the St. Louis Blues. Puck drop at Bridgestone is at 7 p.m. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Show is flying by. Hopefully we didn't ruin too many people's lunches out there with stories of vomit and everything else.
We love to ruin a good lunch break.
And if we did ruin your lunch, we're going to do it again.
Yeah, no, I have no problem doing that because we still have an hour of show left to do, and God knows what other kinds of commentary is going to come up throughout the course of this program. 615-737-1045 is the number, whether it's Robert Walsh defecating on himself in the midst of a wrestling match or Lucas Panzika soldiering through an Asheville SC broadcast while vomiting into a trash can in the back of the booth. We got you. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is how you get involved. If you would like to live stream the show today, Facebook. Like I said, all the other platforms live streaming there for you, like the video, if you are so inclined, or even if you're not inclined, like the video anyway, or we'll have Bert tell more stories of him wrestling and pooping on himself.
I'm still in the mental image of high school Robert.
I just can't. The thing that's most perplexing, or the thing that's the toughest for me to envision there, is you at 160 pounds.
The crazy thing is, I had like a buzz cut. I did not have long hair.
No, this is a totally different person.
I had like no beard, clean shaven. Let me see if I can find a picture.
I'm just picturing the shock on the faces of all the parents and
all the kids.
It's like a scene out of American Pie. Like that, you couldn't write a movie script where you came up with something like that. And if you have no idea what you're talking about, what we're talking about, just check out the podcast in the second hour.
Or don't.
Or don't.
Before you eat. Do it after dinner.
It was kind of crappy.
Boo. Boo. You don't get credit for that joke. That's a terrible joke.
And the important thing about both of those stories, we both finished the match.
I was a loser, but yeah, I did.
You still finished.
I think I got my ass kicked pretty bad.
Jordan Sims on YouTube says, do I have any embarrassing vomit stories? No, I would just leave. I would go home. Nobody would ever find out about this if this ever happened to me. Either of these things. No, not even remotely close. You have me throwing up in the Titans radio booth before my hit with Jim Wyatt? No, of course not. What I do have, though, is new stuff from NFL insiders. I mean, it's really not new because you knew as soon as the Titans signed Brandon Allen to be a backup quarterback that the Titans were almost assuredly on the path to draft Cam Ward. But if you need a little extra insight and information, shall we provide you Adam Schefter speaking on NFL Live yesterday about the Titans and the number 1 overall pick.
Laura, I think that they're being very diligent and thorough in their approach, and they want to do a lot of work before they make a decision. It certainly sounds like if they stay at 1, that Cam Ward would be the number 1 pick, and if the team traded up, Cam Ward would be the number 1 pick. So it's going to be up to Tennessee and the new general manager, Mike Bornganzi, to decide here. Are they better off? Do they believe enough in Cam Ward to stay there at 1 and pick their quarterback of the future? Or are they better off dangling that pick, getting back a boatload of draft pick compensation in return, and basically punting on getting your quarterback of the future until another year. That's the biggest decision that they're going to make here in the coming weeks. But it certainly seems like there's a mounting consensus that Cam Ward is going to be the number one pick. And if we look at what the Titans did during free agency, they did not make a move for an established veteran quarterback. The only quarterback that they signed in free agency was Brandon Allen. And there is what they've done during free agency. They beefed up the offensive line. They didn't address the quarterback position in a meaningful way. And that would seem to suggest, for whatever that's worth, that quarterback could be the direction that this team moves in on draft night.
All right, so there's some hedging, right? Quarterback could be the direction that this team moves in come draft night. Here's what I know about the Titans. Nobody knows definitively what they're going to do.
Every single piece of analysis has had an element of hedging. But they could trade back.
Well,
as opposed to last year where we all knew ahead of time what was going to happen with the number one pick.
Titans fans will think it's because that national media doesn't want Cam Ward to be drafted by the Titans. They'd rather have the New York Giants draft Cam Ward or the Las Vegas Raiders draft Cam Ward. Don't send him to a small market where we're never going to see him again anywhere on national television, because they'll relegate the Titans to the noon slate and you'll never hear from Cam Ward again until if the Titans get good again, which there's no guarantee that they will, but they're trying.
But Adam Schefter saying there, the idea of the Titans punting on the quarterback position in 2025, then who plays quarterback?
Will Levis and Brandon Allen.
That's not a thing that happens. like teams punt on the quarterback position, yes. But
not teams that don't have one.
Right. Like somebody has to do it, you know?
Yeah, in that situation it would be Brandon Allen and Will Levis.
Right. Like teams, the Browns punted on the quarterback position and started their second-round pick, Deshaun Kaiser, who they thought they might have something with. But teams don't do that with a guy that they have an answer on, that crashed out in his opportunity. And Brandon Allen, who, as I said last week, is the backupiest backup quarterback of all backup quarterbacks. This isn't not even a Jameis Winston level of, he could start some games for you, right? Like that felt very intentional, going out and getting a Brandon Allen as opposed to a Joe Flacco or a Jacoby Brissett that could feasibly start multiple games for you if needed.
Let them even think about that as a path forward into 2025. I swear, it's totally unrealistic. One, because even if Brian Callahan, let's just take it from Brian Callahan's perspective, fair to assume that Brian Callahan has, of the powers that be, he has the least say in what's going to go down on draft night, right? Not that he doesn't have any say whatsoever, but he has the least amount of say of any of these primary factors that are going on in here. Ownership, president of football operations, general manager, then Brian Callahan. So some say, but not roster control or anything to that effect. Imagine looking Brian Callahan in the face after you don't draft Cam Ward number one overall. You can't.
Right. If I'm Callahan, I'm like,
you might as well fire him.
Should I just leave now then? Like, what are we doing?
I would leave now. I would quit. I would quit the job, and I would hope that somebody sees how badly I got done here if a team with the number one overall pick and a quarterback that is worthy of going with the number one overall pick just opts to punt on the quarterback situation. That is the least likely of these scenarios. If it were to happen, then we would go scorched earth. But nobody in the world expects them to do that. That is one thing that I'm comfortable saying that I truly at my core believe that they would not do. It would be disrespectful to the fan base. It would be disrespectful to ownership. It would be disrespectful to the roster and to the coaching staff. It would be disrespectful to everybody involved. They would be the most unserious of unserious franchises if they even thought about it, if that thought even crossed their minds, to sign Brandon Allen in a quarterback room that only has Will Levis and not take Cam Ward with the number one overall pick. I don't even care who they draft after that, whether it be Shador or Dart or Shuck or Will Howard or any of these. I don't care. So, with all of this, there is also Jeremy Fowler, also of ESPN, in an appearance on the Dan Patrick Show yesterday, talking about Cam Ward and the Titans.
Could you see the Giants actually try? I don't know if Tennessee's going to actually take Cam Ward. They sound like they are, but I don't believe anything until it happens. But can you see the Giants being aggressive with either one of these quarterbacks?
Yes. And even before the Aaron Rodgers talk, when they were going for Matthew Stafford, like they spent a month on trying to get Matthew Stafford and put together big financial packages, and they were sort of left at the altar. But the sense coming out of the combine was if they strike out on Stafford, they're going to go draft. They're going to go heavy there with that third pick, maybe try to trade up. I still think that's a possibility. If you get Rodgers or even Wilson to a lesser extent like that, at least frees you up to not have to do that if you don't want to give up too much. But some of that was predicated on Tennessee wanting to move back. It does seem like now, again, a lot can happen with the draft. I won't make sweeping determinations, but from what I've gathered, they seem pretty comfortable with Cam Ward. Like there's some momentum there with other teams I've talked to league-wide that they feel like they're just going to sit there and take Ward. I know the interviews with Ward have gone well. They feel comfortable with like the mistakes he has made on the field. They feel like he's done a good job of explaining those and can be coached and correct them. And he's got the obvious upside on top of that. So if you equal all that out, you sense a little momentum for the Titans to sit put. That could complicate things for the Giants if they're comfortable with Shador at 3 or even moving up to 2. Is that too rich?
So that is Jeremy Fowler in an appearance on the Dan Patrick Show on Fox Sports Radio.
They're comfortable with Cam Ward.
You damn well better be. Lucas, there is no other option to me.
There's not.
I mean, there are other options. I acknowledge that they could take other players or trade out of the pick. I get that. But there is no other option here.
But I would like to hear Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker with Truth Serum and hear their actual thoughts on Cam Ward. Are you taking Cam Ward more because you are comfortable with him and you desperately need a quarterback, or because you believe he is a game-changing franchise player?
Or because you couldn't get anybody to trade the pick with. Because the Giants are reportedly out at this point in time. Who else is going to come? I guess Cleveland could come up to 1 from 2.
But why are the Giants reportedly out? Because the belief is the Titans are going to take Cam Ward.
And also they are putting a lot of chips in the Aaron Rodgers thing where it's more likely that Aaron Rodgers retires than plays for the New York Giants.
I think if the door was even cracked for the Giants, they would bend over backwards to get up to number 1.
The door is cracked for the Giants.
You don't know that.
The door is currently cracked for the Giants. Everybody has a price. Didn't you say that yesterday? Everybody has a price. There is a price to get up to the number 1 overall pick, whether or not it's outrageous or not. Okay. They are not willing to pay whatever the cost to get up to number 1. The door is still open. We have more than a month until the draft. These conversations can be ongoing. The last time the Titans traded the number 1 overall pick, it was 2 weeks before the draft. I mean, theoretically, they could wait up till draft night, though that would be ridiculous. So the door is still cracked for New York to get there if they feel he's a good enough player. They don't feel he's a good enough player, so the Titans are sitting around there looking and be like, all right, fine, we'll do it. One would hope.
I don't think it's because the Giants don't think Cam Ward is good enough. I think the Giants are desperate. I think it's because the Giants would have to give up an insane haul because the Titans are going to take Cam Ward.
What are they more desperate to do? Find a quarterback or save their jobs? Because the thing is one and the same.
Those things are pretty tied together.
Right.
Yeah.
So here is the best opportunity for you to save your jobs. What's that worth to you? The question is the ownership going to let them mortgage the franchise's future to get there? We'll take more of your phone calls coming up next. We'll also get into the biggest wild card of the NFL draft and somebody who has lent their voice to it on a national level that would add fuel to this particular fire. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
Oh, the madness of the NCAA tournament is upon us. In fact, it starts tonight with the first 4. You're going to have first-round games flying on Thursday and Friday. For me, It's one of the best times of year, and Hattie B's is here to fuel it for you. Hattie B's, a family-run restaurant that serves up your favorite Southern food, an authentic Nashville hot chicken, hand-breaded, cooked to order at your spice level, hot or not, everything in between, and pick your favorite sides to go with some banana pudding or peach cobbler as dessert to top it off. By the way, if you download the Hattie B's app today, first of all, you get a free dessert simply by doing so. Second of all, you have easy access to order Hattie B's delivery to feed your watch party for all the basketball going on this weekend. Let Hattie be your guest of honor at your NCAA tournament watch party. HattieB.com is where you can order online or download the Hattie B's app today.
Is this what you had on while you were showering after your wrestling debacle? Singing in the shower.
Like, disrespect your surroundings.
Outside instead of in the shower while you're getting hosed off by your mother or your father, just deeply embarrassed by their son who soiled himself in the middle of a wrestling match.
I bet it was more concern than embarrassment.
I don't know.
How often did y'all's parents have to do that to y'all where y'all got hosed off in the yard?
Hosed off in the yard?
Yeah.
What do you think I'm doing that I need to be hosed off in the yard
Okay, Lucas,
for?
how many times did that happen to you as a kid? Because I know
I would definitely come home sometimes covered in mud from, playing out. We played outside as children, Buck, and you get, dirty. I don't know. You go rolling around in the creek or something and come back home and your mom hoses you off because you're not stepping foot in my house like that.
I know about this yard you speak of, but what is this hose?
Yeah. He had a fountain in their backyard.
And here we go. Here's another. Hey, let me pull a Blaine Bishop. Watch this. And we drank out of the hose, too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the most efficient way to drink water.
To delicious ice-cold water.
Buck's like, why? I drink it out of the refrigerator spigot. What do you mean?
Refrigerator spigot. The closest thing
I drank it out of a Voss bottle. That's all they had. Just
a chalice.
Voss is for the pores.
Oh, my God.
Pores is crazy.
Pores, man. Come on. What is wrong with you?
Everything. No, Bert, the closest that I've ever gotten to that is I was like 3 years old. Older than that, 4 years old. And we were still living in Egypt. And I had watched National Geographic that day. And I saw like some kind of animal getting a mud bath. So I took the hose out in the yard and I made myself a mud bath. And I was rolling around in it like I was on National Geographic. And then my parents were pissed because I ruined the yard and was also covered in mud.
How long were you in Egypt?
Living for 3-4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long do you have to be somewhere for it to qualify as living?
I think a year.
A year. I think at least a year.
A year.
What kind of games? Did y'all play hide and seek over there or like tag or?
Sure.
I didn't know if you guys had any cool games over there that we didn't have here.
No, he didn't associate with the kids there. Because
they were the poor.
Right, that's right.
No, they wouldn't let us outside to play with the locals or anything like that. I went to a British international school.
Yes.
It's very pretentious.
You're basically a South African. You're not really an Egyptian.
Mahdi British International School. I still have the yearbook. Crazy times. Anyway, the biggest wild card of the NFL draft is Shador Sanders. Because just like nobody knows what the Titans are really going to do, like really definitively knows what the Titans are going to do, even though we know what they should do, we don't really have any idea what's going to happen with Shador Sanders. And it could lack the drama, and he could go to Cleveland, and that be that. And, you dust your hands of the quarterback situation, say, all right, we'll see who's the next one off the board, if it's Dart on day 2 or if Jackson Dart or Tyler Shuck sneaks into the first round. I don't think anybody's anticipating the Louisville quarterback doing that, though a lot of talent evaluators like him. Just had a difficult career as far as the injuries go, and he bounced around a good deal.
It would not, at this point, would it be that shocking?
Tyler Shuck out of Louisville going in the first round? Yes.
No, Jackson Dart.
No.
But at QB3, we'll just say QB3, just sneaking in there.
As Dart? Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I think there's a real possibility he goes in the first round. But with everything that you've got going on, Shador is interesting for a great many reasons. I want you to listen to Mel Kiper, who was just on First Take this morning, Bert, at your convenience, and was talking about, well, I assume he asked who his number 1 quarterback prospect was, and this is what Mel Kiper had to say. We'll get to that audio here in just a little bit. But there's a lot of conflicting opinions about where people think Shador Sanders might go. Mel Kiper is now lending his voice to that discussion.
Okay, so Mel, tell me this. Who do you project will be the better NFL quarterback? Is it Cam or Shador?
I'm going to go Shador Sanders. I'm going to be steadfast in that. I've had him number one, QB1 all along, really since last year, and love everything about the kid. I mean, people say, well, he takes too many sacks. Yes, he has to get the ball out a tick faster, but he dealt with NFL conditions. Shannon, Stephen A., we talked about that. Who had to deal with what you're going to deal with in the NFL, what you're going to have to survive in the NFL? He survived hit after hit. How he did it, I don't know. He was 11 of 13 games this year at 70% or higher. He never completed less than 60% of his passes in a game. And in 2023, when he was getting pounded and getting sacked and getting hit time after time, he was at 69% and change with 27 touchdowns, 3 picks, 4 rushing touchdowns. That's 31-3 touchdown interception ratio. So to me, when you look at Shador, accuracy, slip and slide in the pocket. Yes, he can get you a 3rd and 8 first down. People say, well, he's going to run to 4.8. Patrick Mahomes ran 4.8, 4.84. Doesn't have an explosive arm. Neither did Johnny Unitas, Peyton Manning. Okay, we talk about explosive arms. You know, you don't need to have that. Tom Brady, another one, didn't have the explosive arm or explosive legs at 5'2", 440. So you can win in the NFL, win big in the NFL, going about your business like Shador Sanders does.
He did not even believe what he said at the beginning.
He started laughing.
Listen at this goober. Hey, what do you think, Mel? I've got
I'm going to go Shador Sanders.
I'm going to go Shador Sanders. Man, stop it with that light bulb head, man. We all need to come together.
Don't insult Mel.
And agree that Todd McShay was always the better of those two.
No.
He was shipped off.
You'll never get me to admit it. The only reason any of this crap exists in the offseason is because of that light bulb shaped man.
Now that light bulb shaped man, his slip and slide in the pocket. You got to watch out.
That's pretty good.
He won out there doing things that you're going to have to do in the NFL.
He's not Harry Carey. Calm down.
He sounds way
That's
too
not
close
even
to
Harry Carey. You're not even doing Harry Carey. You're doing Will Ferrell doing
That's
Harry
exactly
Carey.
what I'm doing, Buck. And you're going to have to see plenty of offensive lines that look like this in the NFL.
No, it's definitely Harry Carey.
Well,
but
as soon as he talked like it.
It's in the same neighborhood.
Patrick Mahomes ran 4.8, 4.8.
Patrick Mahomes ran a 4.8, 4.84, 4.84.
It's not the same person.
The guy who does it on Pat McAfee show is excellent at it for sure. Mel is the godfather. Nobody's questioning that, but he's also the guy yelling for the NFL to ban 2 high safety looks
that was dumb.
in 2024. Like, we can all understand what he has evolved into. He's also the guy that was defending Will Levis to the death, even after the what the bleep are you doing play against the New York Jets.
Mel, I think, is still a Will Levis proponent.
100%. He always has been. I think Mel loves to go against the grain when it comes to these.
Well, and it's worth noting that he's doing that hit on First Take, where those things are promoted, if not encouraged.
Yes, he's a legend. He's the godfather. You're right. But at the same time, I'm with you, Bert, on Todd McShay as an evaluator.
Oh, yeah. No, as an evaluator for sure. But don't disrespect Mel, because Mel is the reason that any of them exist.
I came here to talk about Shador, but Shannon, I really wanted to talk about that woman you were on Instagram Live with. Can you tell us more about Michelle?
I hear a Charles Barkley back in there somewhere.
No, I didn't hear any Charles
It's not
Barkley.
a good impression, but the dude is just speaking to speak at this point.
You got like Harry Carey and Charles Barkley mixed up.
That would be an exceptional person. What a fun person to hang out with and not let your children be around.
So, with everything that's going on right now, there is almost consensus that Cam Ward is the best quarterback in this draft. Mel Kiper is voicing some opinions to the opposite.
But he is mocking Cam to the Titans, number 1 overall.
Yes, he is. Because Mel even understands that while Mel Kiper, the only reason that I would accept it and not mock it the way that Bert did is because if all things were equal, which player do you like more? It's okay if Mel Kiper likes Shador Sanders more as a player. What is indisputable is that Cam Ward is the better quarterback prospect. And I think that those two things can exist in the same world because there's nothing to say that Shador won't go on to have a successful NFL career. We don't know who's going to end up having the more successful career, but as a prospect, there is no debate to be had that Cam Ward is the better prospect at quarterback. He was the better college quarterback. He is the better NFL prospect as a player. There's nothing to say that one won't be better than the other, or Shador won't be better than Ward, or Ward won't be better than Shador. We haven't gotten to that phase of their career yet. What is being reported, though, around Shador is crazy. People in The Athletic writing articles about the idea that he may experience a Levis-like drop out of the first round.
Well, he is this total wild card in that he could go number 2. The Browns could also draft Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, and then I suppose go into this season with Kenny Pickett as their starting quarterback, Russell Wilson, if he lands in Cleveland. And then you have the Giants at 3. If Shador Sanders doesn't fall to New York and they don't land Aaron Rodgers, I
don't know what they're going to do.
I don't know who starts at quarterback. Jameis Winston? I mean, seriously, I have no earthly idea who starts for the Giants. So it's hard to imagine him falling past 3 because of the desperation mode the Giants are in. And you got to think the Giants are bottom of the pecking order for someone like Aaron Rodgers, right? Now, far be it for us to sit here and try to figure out what is rattling around in Aaron Rodgers' mind, juking the ayahuasca, just dancing around it. But you would think Vikings, Steelers, then Giants. If it's down to those 3 for Rodgers, would be kind of the pecking order for him.
I bet he retires before he goes to the Giants.
I mean, honestly. So that's why it's so hard to imagine Shador falling past 3, unless Russell Wilson ended up in New York. I don't know.
And Russell Wilson wants to go to New York or Pittsburgh or anybody that'll have him. What I don't get is why Russ has to sit back there and wait for Aaron Rodgers to make a decision.
Yeah, that is
doesn't
odd.
make sense from a team standpoint to me, but that's what's happening.
But
they've just got Russ waiting in the wings, waiting to see what decision Aaron Rodgers will make.
But if Shador were to fall past number 3 overall for whatever reason, that's where you could see a free fall all the way to what? 21?
Where do the Rams pick? There's no way that he gets past the Rams.
The Rams are, they're pretty far down there. They were in the divisional round, 26.
Yeah, if he's there in the mid to late 20s, a team like that will just put him in take him and stash him. Why wouldn't you, if you're the Los Angeles Rams, just pick a quarterback, not just any quarterback, but take a quarterback who may or may not be good enough to go, or may or may not have a first-round grade, right? The debate would he be graded as a first-round pick? The vast majority of talent evaluators in the NFL are saying no. But you may only have 10 first-round grades in a first round, and you have 32 picks. So there's going to be some players that are overdrafted if that's how you're doing it, if you're going to take it quite that literally. You have to have 32 players go in the first round unless you've had a team lose a draft pick due to a fine situation like the Dolphins did a couple of years ago. It would be stunning to me. Like, the Levis fall made sense. Levis was a worse quarterback than Shador Sanders was.
In college? Yes. Without question.
Levis might be a better prospect than Shador was or is. Because
more tools.
He has more traits. He has more high-end traits that have not yet manifested themselves into skill. Shador has skill and was a more skilled player in college, but he does not even have the traits of Cam Ward, which is why there is a gulf between those two players.
And Ward is not the traitsiest, big arm. I mean, Nate Tice said it in the last hour. One area where he falls short of a Steve McNair comp is the arm strength.
Diet Coke McNair is what he just texted me. Which plenty of people love Diet Coke. So
people are addicted to Diet Coke. Did you know Shador Sanders has the best career completion percentage in college football history?
I did know that. I did. And completion percentage is something that you can cite, and it's certainly better to have a good completion percentage than a bad one. What did it end up being? 70 plus?
I want to say off the top of my head, 71.8.
That would be really good. And that's his career completion percentage.
Right. Okay. Last season was like 74.
Right. So, because people are saying Levis has no high-end traits. Well, he's got size. He's got toughness. He's got arm strength. There is no question in my mind that Will Levis can make a throw to any part of an NFL field. Whether he does it accurately or not is where the skill comes in. But you'd rather have something that's raw that you think you can work with, and then you figure out whether you can work with it or not. And they couldn't work with it. So, traits are a nice thing to have, and people in the NFL will always gamble on traits, but traits do not mean skill. And that, I think, is where the most clear and obvious separation needs to be. Shador is a skilled player. He does not have high-end traits. And that, alone could make him a successful NFL player in the right situation. I think that his situation has to be more specific for him to succeed than Cam's does. Yes?
I agree with that.
And that's kind of the separation to me between traits and skill. Last call for phone calls if you got them. 615-737-1045 is the number. If you want to jump in there, we would be happy to have your participation. We'll update some polls coming up next. Murfreesboro golfers, it's time to say goodbye to pain and hello to a better game with Burrow Chiropractic's revolutionary stem wave therapy. Stem wave therapy is a non-invasive, cutting-edge treatment designed to help golfers get back on the course pain-free. This advanced therapy uses sound waves to target and repair damaged tissues, providing natural, long-lasting relief. At Burrow Chiropractic, their expert team is dedicated to offering personalized care that caters to each individual's unique needs. Stem wave therapy is perfect for treating chronic pain, inflammation, and even old injuries, allowing golfers to swing with confidence and ease. Plus, Burrow Chiropractic is proud to be the official chiropractic provider for Middle Tennessee Athletics, ensuring their athletes stay in peak condition. Golfers can experience the benefits of stem wave therapy by visiting Burrow Chiropractic today. Call them at 615-410-7643. Welcome into the install with Greg Cosell of NFL. Or check out their website at burrowcryotn.com to learn more and schedule an appointment. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Let's take some phone calls. 615-737-1045 is the number. If you want to jump in, I'm still mad at you for not going to this concert. Instead, choosing the Tennessee-Georgia game. Bert, do you want to go to the Dua Lipa concert?
Boy, do I. But they probably won't let me in there, though.
No, you'd be barking
on
the
the
whole
list.
time. Yeah.
Sir, can you please stop barking so Dua can finish performing and just be me in the back like...
Unbelievable. All right, to the phones. How about Jason in Nashville up next?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Good. Hey, I grew up in Colorado and watched, my Colorado Buffaloes kind of disappear. And then, Dion came and his two sons. And to kind of see how they turned around that program and the viewership that they had to kind of put them back on the map. I think if Shador and Cam Ward, all things equal, I think there's some business upside to Shador in the sense that, his dad calling him during some of the team interviews, like, you're going to get some things, teams that aren't afraid of personality. I think there could be a lot of leverage, a lot of eyeballs, a lot of celebrities behind it. If they're doing well, I think there's a business side to it that could be a benefit.
Thanks for the call. Yeah, but that's not a reason to draft him. It can be a part of it because I'm sure somebody in the business office or marketing is salivating over the idea of that. But it'd be a hell of a way to test that theory.
Yeah, the
amount of celebrities that showed up at Colorado games going to come to a Tennessee Titans game.
The business strategy is winning football games.
Yeah, no, Lucas is correct. Nobody's going to care about them if they suck. Nobody cares about them right now, and they have sucked for a period of time. They are a team with the number one overall selection that I think the vast majority of the country would rather see Cam Ward get drafted elsewhere because he's just going to be relegated to the noon slate when he comes to play here until they get better, if they get better.
Bryce Young was the number one overall pick and quickly disappeared into irrelevance until he had that sort of late season surge.
Yeah, but it's not comparable to what he's talking about, right? Because there is truly a star power element to Dion and Shador at Colorado that brought people who would never otherwise be anywhere remotely close to even college football to a Colorado football game. If you wanted to test that theory, and I know people come to Nashville for all...
I was going to say, I think you'd get famous people in the building, but again, that's not what you're looking for.
Nate Bain is a god amongst man for getting the entire cast of American Idol to show up at that Jags game in Week 14. I still don't understand. I know it was a part of their open or whatever, and I know Jelly is their artist in residence this year, so it's got a little more Nashville flavor to it than it might otherwise have, but these things are... It helps, but how many people were in the stands when the American Idol cast was there in Week 14 against Jacksonville? Nobody. Yeah. It was one of the worst attended games of the year because they suck.
I don't care if The Rock decides to come to a Titans game. I just want to win.
Stanley in Winchester is next.
I'm just curious. I've not heard anything about the Titans going after any of the free agent quarterbacks. There were several out there that would have been a pretty good quarterback. I never read anything. They always talk about the Giants and everyone else looking for a free agent quarterback. But were the Titans ever serious about going after any free agents quarterback?
Well, they signed one. They signed Brandon Allen.
Well, Rodgers or Russell Wilson or any of those, the upper level quarterbacks, I guess.
You could argue whether they're upper level quarterbacks at this point in time, but maybe against Brandon Allen.
I see what he's saying. A quarterback that, again, they signed a quarterback that there was no debate.
There was
about whether or not that guy's going to start for you this year. He's not.
No noise. There was no noise whatsoever, reported or rumor mill or otherwise about there was that one tweet from the guy in New York about the Russell Wilson Titans thing.
Yeah, and then Ben Volen tweeting, just keep an eye on the Titans with Carson Wentz. Wentz still without a team. But it is, at every turn, it looks like their intentions are very clear with the number one overall pick, and that's why they did not go and get a Russell Wilson.
Again, they better be. Bill will be the last call of the day in Lebanon.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hey, I just wanted to call I mean, everyone fell in love with Anthony Richardson last year, and I saw him play. And, I mean, I saw him win the Tennessee-Florida game. I mean, he's a great athlete, not a great quarterback. Everybody, where's all these experts? Crickets, buddy. You know, like,
on Richardson?
You better be on Richardson, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, now they're bringing in Daniel Jones as almost, I mean, it's direct competition.
Exactly. I mean, getting this wrong kills franchises. Jamarcus Russell, you know, Jake Locker. I mean, you go on and on with all these guys, you know, Rosen. And then the Cardinals were smart enough to say, okay, bad deal. And they instantly got bobblehead. So you better be right on this deal.
Is that Kyler's bobblehead?
I love
Kyler
that.
Murray's bobblehead, yes. But anyway, he's a lot better than Josh Rosen. But, you know, Carolina did the same thing, getting Clausen and then instantly drafting Cam Newton. So, anyway, y'all have a great day.
Haven't heard that in a while. Scam Newton.
It just warms my heart.
Oh, how college football has changed when the idea of a $200,000 payment for a JUCO quarterback was prompted a Scam Newton nickname.
Yeah, I had somebody railing to me the other day. Bert, this is why I will never participate in a group sauna situation or a public sauna situation again, because I got caught up with somebody. They just put saunas in my gym. Usually I go to the health club where I can sit by myself in the sauna. But I used the one in my gym, and there were two other people in there, and one of them wanted to talk to me about how awful it is, the world of college football, and all these different things, and what a shame it is that the players are getting paid now and all. Never again. Never again. The people who try to make friends in the sauna are the worst.
See, that's where you're wrong, because you don't have to be friends with those people. You just use them to gain information. It's a lot like people watching, except for, and this is a wild concept, it's called people talking. You know, you don't really have to get.
I don't want to talk to people.
You don't. Okay, then let them do all the talking. Like, I got this big dude that comes to my gym. He's like 7 foot tall, but he's also like 50 years old. But he looks like he's chiseled out of granite. And he talks like this, and every time he gets out of the sauna, he walks back to his truck to chug a beer and smoke a cig. I've been in this sauna about 4 times today. And he'll talk to me about how he used to date strippers, or used to, when he used to work on construction sites, nobody cared if you did drugs. Like, I don't like talking to that guy, but half the time he tells funny stories. You know what I mean? I don't have to glean anything off of it. I just get to glean information out of his crappy life, so I don't make the same mistakes he did.
And if you didn't befriend someone in the sauna, you and I would have never gotten to experience that improv musical the other week.
Right. That's exactly it. And also, if you're mean to people in the sauna, they are not going to help you if you pass out. Like, I stay in the sauna to the brink of, like, when you come out, you sound like an old jalopy starting up, like, you finally get out of the sauna and get to take a fresh breath that's not 180 degrees. Like, you need those people. It might not be today. It might not be tomorrow, but you're going to need them at one point.
I don't think that I'm going to need those people ever again at all in my life.
You will when you need some manual labor done.
Why?
Buck's going to be like, hey, you know anybody that mows yard? Yeah, that guy you were a jerk to in the sauna the other day.
Well, that's fine. Money is the answer to all of your problems. I will pay you enough money to cut my grass. That's right.
Pay the poors, he says.
The poors.
Usually the Egyptians were worried about the Moors, and now Buck is worried about the poors.
Buck loves berating a good lawn care person.
That was also a great history
or
joke.
Waiter. You're awful to waiters.
We're just going to gloss on it.
Oh, it's tough, man.
Awful to waiters?
Especially when he starts deducting the tip while they're there. He's like, well, you
and
forgot
make sure that they see it.
Right. Buck will always sit down, and the thing about Buck is he never tips more than $15, and every mistake, you know this, you've been out to eat with him, every mistake he takes $1 away.
Right.
And he makes sure
there's
to
a
let
pile
the
of money
waiter,
on the table.
Right. The 15 is sitting there.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Buck will be like, yes, you didn't get me a new lemon with my water refresher, so that's $1 off. Sorry,
I should
sir.
start doing that. Well, that would be more cost effective, but...
Oh, this water is Voss. What am I, poor? Another $1.
Stop it.
It's not poor. It's a poor. A poor. No, I don't do that. I overtip out of fear that somebody's going to take a picture and post it on the internet.
That's what happened to me at that one place where she was like, was something wrong with your service? Where did we eat at?
Yeah, who between us is more likely to skimp on a tip?
If my bill is $12 and I give you $3, that's a good tip.
That's so reasonable.
That's a good tip.
That's so
She was like,
reasonable.
was something wrong with your service?
Go ahead. Was I with you? I feel like I remember that.
It was at a place in East Nashville where we went to watch, I believe it was the opener. I believe it was Tennessee, Virginia, and ECU, Michigan.
Oh,
Don't say the name
I'm
out
not
loud.
gonna say
Don't
the
say
esta-
that
I'm
name
not gonna
out
say the
loud. That
establishment.
woman almost chokeslammed me. She looked like
You deserved
Fiona.
it.
No,
You deserved
Fiona
it.
from Shrek.
Fiona from Shrek.
Rapid fire polls. That was the longest open.
Okay, the polls.
Yeah, I know. I don't need the whole
Presented
song
by
and dance.
Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. What in sports made you say, oh no, this weekend? Karen says South Alabama getting disinvited from the NIT. South Alabama men's basketball put out a statement, quote, "We are disappointed that the NIT prematurely extended an invitation to our men's basketball team to participate in this year's tournament before confirming a spot was available." I did not see this. The NIT
I didn't
said,
either.
"You want to come play?" "Oh, no, just kidding. We don't have a spot
Just
for you."
kidding.
Oh, that's awful. That is horrible. Luther says UNC getting a bid to the NCAA tournament. What's your favorite upset pick in the tournament? Titans Rick is going with Drake. Eric says Yale over A&M. Yale knocked off Auburn as a 12-5 upset last year. See if they can double down. Mike Titan says UC San Diego over Michigan. That's another popular 12-5 pick. Who would you want Tennessee football to have a spring scrimmage against? We'll get to this tomorrow. Some interesting things Deion Sanders is thinking about doing with the Colorado spring game. Eric says the Cowards at Nebraska after they canceled the home and home. That's a good one. What is the biggest unknown of the NFL draft? Kenneth says what the Titans will do early in the second round. That is an interesting one. We don't have time to read all the others.
All right, very
Those
good.
are the polls.
That's the show. Bert just sent a picture of him in a wrestling singlet, and it's probably going to be my new caller ID for him.
You look good.
You look better there than
It's
you
the
do
best
now.
I've ever looked, buddy.
Indisputably, it's because of the laxatives. All right, that's going to do it for us today. If you missed any of the show, check out the podcast. Prime time tonight. I'm off. Bert has to work. Eat it. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10.